Chapter 1159. Back then the Wind Spirits channel breaking plot took them decades to prepare, but the Stargate sect took hundreds of years to prepare for the Wong family's channel breaking plot. You can imagine the difference between the two. Not to mention the people of the Star sect are the best at manipulating the details, looking far ahead in everything and planning ahead. Right now the Wong family is already showing signs of decline, and this group of people heading to Phoenix City is practically the last straw that can bury the Wong family. If they want to succeed, they will not ignore the follow-up of this group of people. Think about it carefully. If Big Dipper 9 and Big Dipper 6 are here, the battle's strength they can mobilize, at least in my opinion, it is unimaginable and extraordinarily powerful. If you are not completely confident, why don't you join forces with the Wu family, Nyen family, Lu family and Lu family? I have to seriously reiterate that now we are not only facing the Wong family, but also the UMNO alliance and the Stargate sect. It will not be easy. Although the wandering hero still did not agree in his heart, he still agreed and said, I will keep it in mind. When I go back I will tell my father to mobilize the top experts of the family to win this battle. What are the names of those people? Those people are called Qing Tian Swordsman Gao Fengliang. The four people he brought are Lu Jiashan, Hua Yunting, Wang Shiqi and Wang Shifeng. Their figures and appearances are. Their weapons are. Their expertise is. Zhou Xiao Duo added, their figures and appearances can only be used as a reference. It is difficult to count them. You must pay attention to this. I understand. The wandering hero memorized it and said, with this information things will be much easier. Is there anything else? Zhou Xiao Duo was about to ask him to leave. The wandering hero who had received the news was also anxious to return home. He was afraid that someone else would beat him to it and wanted to go home. However, Emo Xuanyi was still there, holding hands and talking to Zhou Xiaoyan intimately. I have nothing else. I will send Xuanyi back and deal with this matter. The wandering hero said. Zhou Xiaoduo carefully looked at Yu Xian's face, then turned to look at Emo Xianyi's face. He suddenly smiled and said, Nian Cat, you've been talking to Xianyi for so long, why haven't you finished yet? You two are so close to each other. Why don't you two become sworn sisters? Zhou Xiaoyan was stunned when she heard this. Then she saw the deep meaning in Zhou Xiaoduo's eyes. She suddenly thought of something and said leisurely, I do have this intention, but I'm afraid that Sister Xianyi won't like me. Emo Xuanyi was very excited and happy. She pursed her lips and said happily, this is exactly what I wanted. How could I not be happy? For Emo Xuanyi it was a blessing from the heavens. Zhou Xiaoyan was very popular and she liked her at first sight. Moreover, Zhou Xiaoduo and Zhou Xiaoyan were the few people in this world that Emo Xuanyi trusted the most. Now that she had such an opportunity, although Emo Xuanyi felt that it was a little sudden, she was still overjoyed. So, under the witness of everyone, Zhou Xiaoyan and Emo Xuanyi became sworn sisters. Emo Xuanyi was a few years older, so she was naturally the elder sister, and Zhou Xiaoyan was the younger sister. Now the two of them were only sworn sisters. When my parents come back I will call you. Sister, come and count. Zhou Xiaoyan said. Okay, I will also bring my parents over. Emo Xuanyi said with a happy face. After becoming sworn sisters, the two of them were even more happy. They held each other's hands and felt that they were much closer. Then under the urging of Zhou Xiaoduo and the wandering hero, Emo Xuanyi reluctantly left. Watching the wandering hero and Emo Xuanyi disappear, Zhou Xiaoyan looked at Zhou Xiaoduo with bright eyes. What's going on? Well, there is indeed a small problem, but the root of the matter is to help others and help oneself, so why not? Zhou Xiaoduo smiled. Humph. Zhou Xiaoyan was very smart and said, these two people have feelings for each other, but the elders of the Yu family will not accept a daughter-in-law like Xuanyi, let alone a girl from a small family like her. So, you want me to become sworn sisters to help Emo Xuanyi? Smart. You are right. Zhou Xiaoduo's face was full of shock. He did think that Zhou Xiaoyan would be able to guess a little, but he didn't think that her thoughts would coincide with his. Sister Nyen, you're so smart. Your little brain. It's like a worm in my stomach. You know what I'm thinking with just one look. Isn't this what they call telepathy? Everything shows that we're a perfect match. You are asking for a beating. Humph dog, why didn't you give some pills to Sister Xuanyi's parents? Her parents should need it now. Zhou Xiaoyan was a little puzzled. Well, they don't need us to give them. Zhuo Duo said leisurely. As promised, the wandering hero sent Mo Xuanyi home and then quickly returned home. Along the way he was constantly thinking. How should he tell the family to send people? Although the family supported this matter, if he wanted to send a large number of people, the family might not be able to take it seriously. The hall was filled with people. Many elders and seniors of the Yu family sat in the hall with a heavy expression. Seeing the wandering hero return, everyone's expression was complicated. Some were gratified, some were happy, but there was also a headache and a lot of helplessness. This guy had recently made a good friend, which was naturally a good thing. Others might not know Zhuo Xiaoduo's identity, but how could the Yu family not have guessed? From the fact that the Heavenly King of the Right directly ordered the wandering hero to be the future head of the family, they could see some clues. When had the Heavenly King ever cared about family matters? Who was the head of the family? It didn't matter who it was. For so many years, the Heavenly King of the Right had never asked about it. It was as if the entire Yu family had nothing to do with him. Usually he didn't even come back. Only when the Yu family did something serious under the Heavenly King's banner would the Heavenly King of the Right appear and mercilessly punish, beat, or even kill. Then, the entire family would be sorted out in a thunderous manner. Most of the wrongdoers would be thrown to the front lines. Then the Heavenly King would leave and not appear for hundreds or thousands of years. The Heavenly King was very dignified and serious. In the entire Yu family, no one dared to speak in front of the Heavenly King. That invisible aura. Just thinking about it made everyone feel suffocated. The Heavenly King was serious in his speech and manner. He was very firm in his principles. How could a small shrimp suddenly appear and open his mouth to accept his fate be like this if there wasn't a big reason? Besides, the small shrimp's aura was very clear. Other than picking up girls and fooling around, eating, drinking, and waiting for death, he made a few friends the last time he went on an adventure. Yes, especially that Zhuo. Then he listened and understood. Boss Zhuo, this was clearly the kind of person with a very strong background. Although the minister never had any relatives or anything. But if the Heavenly King of the Right places importance on him, then there must be something we don't know. Also that night, the guard came back and reported that the demon ancestor had reappeared in the world and was Zhuo's grandfather. Well, Zhuo Xiaoduo was the grandson of the demon ancestor. Then wouldn't his deeper identity be clear? Yu Xiaoxia was able to make friends with him and hug his thigh. He was really far-sighted and insightful. This Yu Xiaoxia was simply a lucky star bestowed by the heavens. But this news had to be kept strictly confidential. It couldn't be leaked out bit by bit. The higher-ups of the Yu family who received the above information were very excited. At the same time they were also a little nervous. Since it was obvious that the family already had a super thigh, and now they had an even thicker one to rely on. Then, the love and family of the future head of the family would become the most important thing. But this kid, he didn't take a fancy to any of the young ladies from the big families. Why did he take a fancy to a commoner's daughter? If it was just a commoner's daughter, it would be fine and acceptable. But this girl was once a member of the Umno Alliance's greedy wolf sect. That would be a little unfriendly and unacceptable. This matter was a matter of position. It couldn't be done. For this matter, the Yu family had even invited the seventh elder, who had been indifferent to worldly affairs for many years. This time they had to get rid of Yu Xiaoxia's unrealistic idea and completely extinguish it. They had to tell him that love wasn't everything in his life. As long as he became the head of the family and got married, he could have as many girls like this as he wanted. Now they couldn't be blinded. That commoner girl, that girl with the Umno Alliance's background, couldn't enter the Yu family. If it really didn't work, they had to quietly get rid of that girl. Position had always been a big taboo in the Yu family. To be honest, the elders of the Yu family didn't expect that this unusually slippery little fatty was actually a romantic. No matter how they looked at him, he was still a playboy. How did he become a love-struck type? Who do you think you can reason with? However, before dealing with the relationship, they had to deal with the proper business first. When the little fatty walked in and saw so many people, he was shocked. Dad cough. Greetings ancestor, greetings great-grandfather, greetings second great-grandfather, greetings third great-grandfather, greetings great-grandfather, greetings second great-grandfather, greetings third great-grandfather, greetings third great-grandfather, greetings great-grandfather, greetings second great-grandfather, greetings fourth great-grandfather, greetings fifth great-grandfather, greetings fifth great-grandfather, greetings second great-grandfather, greetings ninth great-grandfather, Greetings first uncle, greetings third uncle, greetings second uncle, greetings fifth uncle, greetings 17th uncle. If he wanted to say this fluently, it would be impossible without a certain amount of energy. It was almost like a crosstalk. When the little fatty finished, he almost fainted. Chapter 1160. There were too many people in the family. And if he called the wrong name he would be beaten. Little fatty had grown up under constant beatings and scoldings. Now he could confirm that he wouldn't call the wrong person, but it was still difficult for him to deal with this. You're back? Tell me what's the matter. It's like this. Zwa provided the details of 5 people, the names and identities of the 5 people the Wong family sent to Phoenix City. Xiao Xia said excitedly, our family might be able to catch a big fish this time and finish this job. The names and identities of the 5 people? Is it accurate? Accurate. Which 5 people? They are. Send me the information, I'll send people to do it immediately. Cough. Zwa said that the situation might not be as simple as we thought. There might be other changes because he found out that the Stargate of the UMNO Alliance is behind the Wong family. Moreover, the Big Dipper and the Southern Dipper are all involved. If this force is really behind the ambush, the situation will be very bad. If we act rashly, not only will it be difficult to achieve anything, it's possible that we will lose soldiers and generals, and it might even alert the enemy. The gains don't make up for the losses. Understood. Zwa Xiaoduo is indeed very resourceful. He even dug out the UMNO Alliance's Stargate. He's right, and his considerations are also very thorough. In this battle, our Yu family really can't let down our guard. We must make thorough arrangements to finish this battle in one fell swoop. If we catch these people this time, I'm afraid the Wong family will really be finished. Once the Wong family falls, the forces in Shangjing will inevitably be reshuffled. And this big empty cake left by the Wong family. Everyone was deep in thought. Old Ancestor by Mei Xian moved and said softly, to the east and to the west. This time the few of you will go. The 7 of you will bring your own guards in the Heaven 1 unit. In addition, bring some of the juniors and go out together to gain experience. This time. Let's move out 300 people. Yes. The Yu Xiangdong and Yu Xiangxi brothers stood up, saluted and walked out. All of them were of the same generation as Wandering Hero's great-grandfathers, and all of them were top-notch high-level cultivators. They swam to the east, swam to the west, swam to the south, swam to the north and swam to the middle. Originally they had decided that the 5 names of the east, west, north, south and middle were just right. But in the end they gave birth to too many people. One by one they swam to the mountains, swam to the water, swam to the clouds and so on. More than 10 people. Now, after so many years, of the 20 or so brothers of their generation, there were still 11 who were still alive. This time they were all sent out. With their own strength, their personal guards and their clan's Heaven's No. 1 squadron, their combined strength had already reached a considerable level. Not to mention facing 5 Sky Soar Realm cultivators. Even if 5 or 10 more came, it would not be a problem. The ranger's face lit up with joy. From his point of view, the Yu clan would be reduced to a huge joke if they were unable to capture those 5 Wong clan ascendants after dispatching so many of their forces. The Yu clan would be reduced to a huge joke if they were unable to capture those 5 Wong clan ascendants. The reason why 300 people were sent out this time was because the old ancestor's intention was very clear. It was to train the younger generation of the clan. 11 people along with 10 or so juniors walked out of the hall, and the hall suddenly became much more spacious. The ranger also let out a sigh of relief. Looks like they won't criticize me today. If there's nothing else, I still have other matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave now. The ranger wanted to slip away. Although the ranger had the identity of the future clan head, and his status was naturally respected, this was undeniable. But at the same time, it was also undeniable that he was not the clan head yet. He had another identity that was closer to reality, a junior of the Yu clan. And in this hall, everyone had the right to press him to the ground and spank him without being able to fight back. And he might even have to take the initiative to get into position and cheer after being spanked. Wait. An old man rolled his eyes. We have so many people and we have been waiting for you with such great fanfare for so long. Naturally, we have important matters to attend to. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Please speak, great-grandfather. You are the future clan head that the old ancestor has personally appointed. Now that you're not young, You need to settle the important matter of marriage as soon as possible. This is the most important thing right now and you can't neglect it. The old ancestor said slowly, we've carefully screened and selected the girls of the right age from each family. There are only a few who are qualified. Take a look and see if there's anyone who catches your eye. Then have your father find someone to arrange for you to meet and see if you can get along. A blind date. The ranger's eyes widened. What era was this and there were still blind dates? The ranger. The handsome ranger, the embodiment of justice, actually need to go on blind dates. Who are you looking down on? I don't want to. The ranger muttered. You dare. The ranger's father suddenly stood up and pulled out his belt with a swish. In front of the old ancestor. Using force. The ranger's face was pale and his chubby cheeks began to tremble. You. What a scandal. I'll show you what a scandal is. The old ancestor flicked the belt in the air and with both hands, it made a deafening sound. Little brat, come here and receive your punishment. The ranger almost wet himself on the spot. Old ancestor, save me. Whoosh. The belt disappeared from the ranger's father's hands. The old ancestor rolled up the leather belt and held it in his hand. If you're being reasonable, then let's talk reason. Our Yu clan treats our children with reason at all times. Little Hero is still your son, but he's still the future head of our Yu clan. The ranger nodded repeatedly, his face filled with gratitude and excitement. The old ancestor paused, then said, it's not too late to beat him up when you really can't reason with him. So what if he's the future clan head? The future clan head is still your son. As his father, it's only right that you teach your son a lesson. The ranger's jaw almost dropped. Old ancestor, did the heavenly king know that you're so arrogant? We have no intention of interfering with your marriage, but you're no longer an ordinary son of the Yu clan, but the future clan head. The clan values you greatly and you have to bear this responsibility. You can't just do whatever you want, especially when it comes to your marriage. For a clan like ours, the clan head's marriage has always followed a principle, and that is marriage alliance. The clan wants to use marriage alliance and the strong join forces to push the clan's power forward a little. Even if we can't reach the goal of going further, we can't take half a step back. This is the responsibility of the clan head, and it's also helpless. Since you're respected by the clan, you have to pay for it. Your marriage is no longer just your own business, and it's no longer even our clan's business. Your marriage has been targeted by many clans since the day you became the future clan head, such as the Nyen clan, such as the Lu clan, such as the Dongfang clan, such as the Dongfang clan. These clans all have daughters of the right age and they want to marry our clan. Every one of them is the clan head's legitimate daughter. Among the many clans mentioned above, no matter which one you choose, the other clans won't say anything. Because in the case of a perfect match, it's the same no matter who you choose. It can only be said that they have similar temperaments and are compatible with each other. But if you don't choose any of the clans and choose a commoner's daughter with no background, then you'll be looking down on the clans. After all, this isn't your personal love and you can choose whoever you want, but after you make such a choice, you'll be slapping the clans in everyone's faces. Think about it and you'll understand. Our clan's noble daughter is waiting to marry you, but in the eyes of the Yu clan, our clans are not even as good as commoners. How humiliating is that? There are all kinds of choices, all kinds of human relations and all kinds of things. If you can't take care of any of them, it'll be troublesome. Also, there are so many people in the Yu clan, but only you were chosen to be the young clan head. If you're not even willing to make such a small sacrifice, unwilling to contribute to the clan, and only care about what you want to do, then what right do you have to enjoy the honor of being the future clan head? How will your peers in the Yu clan view this matter? There are plenty of them who are willing to sacrifice for the clan. Many people, as long as they can be the clan head, even if you want them to marry a sow, they'll gladly endure it. Why do we have to follow your personal wishes when it comes to you? You who haven't made any contributions to the clan, what right do you have? In other words, no matter which clan's girl you marry, our Yu clan won't have any trouble. Only if you marry that Umno Alliance's disciple, will become the target of public criticism. Once you insist on doing so, the situation will evolve. Not only will the clan not be able to advance further, but because of your selfishness, the Yu clan's overall strength will decline instead of advancing. Is this what you should do as the clan head? These reasons are all in front of you. I hope you can think about it carefully. We're not stubborn old fogies. After you marry a wife, you can still take a concubine. It's normal for a man to have multiple wives and concubines. Even if you hide her in a golden house and arrange for her to be an outside mistress, we won't care about how intimate you two are in private. But if you want to take her as your wife, that's impossible. The old masters tried their best to persuade him. Speaking to this point, the Yu family elders had already taken a big step back. Their words were sincere, and indeed, every word was from the bottom of their hearts. They spoke with certainty, and every word was sonorous. Yu Shaoxia sighed and said miserably, "When all the problems are summed up, isn't it because of my identity as the future clan head? I've said it before, I don't want to be the clan head, okay?" The little fatty cried out in grief and indignation, "I don't want to be the future clan head. You can choose someone else. In the future I'll build a small courtyard and raise flowers, dogs and vegetables with Xian Yi. That should be fine, right?" Chapter 1161. Everyone looked at each other. The group of old men were fuming. "If we could replace you, do you think we would keep you? If there was even the slightest possibility, you would have been long gone. The problem was that they couldn't replace you." The little fatty said sorrowfully, "I have never had any great ambitions since I was born. I'm small and my shoulders are narrow. It's hard for me to bear the heavy responsibility. I only want to be with Xian Yi and have a wife and children. This patriarch. I'm not cut out to be the patriarch. Why don't you elders see who's more suitable, and I'll give up my position in advance. This is the old ancestors' arrangement. How can you say you don't want to do it? The patriarch position is the Yu family's honor. How can you say you don't want to do it? But I really like Xian Yi. Didn't we say that you can take that woman in, but you can't give her the position of your wife? No, I only want Xian Yi in my life. I don't want anyone else. My wife can only be her." What a good no. "If you insist on doing this, then we'll have to use some ruthless methods." "What? Ruthless methods?" The hero's face turned pale. "Get rid of that girl. She has a background in the Wizard Alliance. Who knows if she's a spy from the Wizard Alliance?" The hero's father snorted, his words overflowing with a chilling aura. "Don't." The hero was filled with grief and indignation. "We've already said all the good and bad things to you. No matter what, you can't take her as your wife." The backbone of the Yu family in the hall were all determined. A huge pressure gathered and pressed down on the little fatty in the middle. It was like a group of fierce tigers threatening a pitiful little rabbit. Dozens of big tigers had surrounded a small rabbit. The ranger trembled in fear. He knew that the situation was very clear. Today the elders of the Yu family had laid their cards on the table. If he insisted, Emo Xianyi's life would be in danger. But if he did not insist, it would be the same as saying goodbye to Emo Xianyi forever. With Emo Xianyi's personality, he would never accept anyone other than his wife. Faced with such a dilemma, little fatty cried out in despair, "Xianyi is so cute, so smart, so cold. Who wouldn't like her? Why do you insist on breaking us up? Everyone likes it. Why don't you guys like it? Today she came with me to visit Mrs. Sua. Mrs. Sua fell in love with Xian Yi at first sight. They chatted so intimately. She even offered to become Xian Yi's sworn sister. Other people like her at first sight. Why didn't you agree? Can't you see how good Xian Yi is? No matter what, I can't do it. No means no." Halfway through his words, the elder master's eyes suddenly widened. "What? Sister-in-law? Sworn sisters? What are you talking about? What's going on? Who else could sister-in-law be?" "She's Sua's fiancée, spiritual goddess Sua Xiaonian. She has already become sworn sisters with Xian Yi. In a few days they'll be meeting each other's parents." "What does this mean?" "This means that Xian Yi is really cute. Everyone likes her." Then the entire hall fell silent. "Sua Xiaonian and Emo Xian Yi have become sworn sisters? There's such a thing? She'll be meeting each other's parents in a few days? She'll be meeting Sua Xiaonian's parents?" The few old men looked at each other, obviously unable to believe their ears. "That can't be right. Why can't it be?" "Little hero," you cried. "Zua and I witnessed it. We've already kowtowed. What's wrong with meeting each other's parents? When Zua's parents come, we'll call Xian Yi and her parents to have a meal together. We'll meet each other's adoptive parents and offer them a cup of tea. Why can't you be as reasonable as them?" You only know how to use your old-fashioned methods. Little hero, you threw caution to the wind. He sat on the ground, kicked his legs and wiped his tears. Is it so important to be well-matched in terms of social status? Xianyi is kind and pure. Everyone loves her. Flowers bloom when they see her. Why are you targeting her? What's so great about the daughters of those big families? In my opinion, they can't even compare to a strand of Xianyi's hair. Sua already knew about Xianyi's background. Xianyi came to Shangjing because of Sua's guidance. Your so-called position is not valid at all. It's all excuses, lousy excuses. The hall was still silent. Only little hero Yu was kicking his legs and crying. He wiped his tears and walked back and forth on the ground. After a long time, the elder master murmured, "Didn't you say that Mo Xianyi would keep a distance from you? Why did she go with you to visit friends today?" "Didn't you hear what I just said? Zhuo and Xianyi have been friends for a long time. They met in Phoenix City and are very, very good friends. If not, why would Xianyi take the initiative to go with me?" Little hero Yu cried until there was no more energy left in his eyes. He said, Why? Why? All the old men in the hall were looking at each other. Everyone's face was very awkward. What to do? After all this time, she had already turned into the goddaughter of the minister. Now it's not a matter of whether we are willing or not. It's a matter of whether we can climb up the social ladder or not. Cough, cough. Just now, we tried to reason with him, to move him emotionally and to threaten him with our lives. What to do now? Why is this brat's luck so good? His boss is the minister's son. His free love is the minister's goddaughter. But now is not the time to be surprised. We have to quickly return to the topic. All the old men urged each other with their eyes. You do it. No, you do it. You do it, you do it. I just made my objection clear. I can't turn it around. Cough, me too. After a long time, Elder Yu coughed and said, Little hero Yu, do you really love this girl so much? Until death do you part? Yes. Little hero Yu nodded. Elder Yu snorted and said, Are you really willing to die for her? Little hero Yu was stunned and said, Really die? I didn't say that. Elder Yu was stunned. You don't play by the rules. If you answer now that you don't care about life and death for her, we will take advantage of this situation and help you. You don't want to die for her? We don't agree. Are you willing to die? Why would I want to die when I'm living so well? Little hero Yu's face was as white as paper. His eyes were filled with fear and his heart stopped. Am I going to die? What I mean is, are you willing or not? Little hero Yu's heart was beating like a drum. An ominous premonition surged in his heart. He suddenly burst into tears. Elder Yu, I haven't lived enough. What the fuck? The entire hall was filled with black lines. Looking at the wailing fatty with snot and tears running down his face, everyone felt like countless mythical beasts were galloping in their hearts. When we needed you to be a coward, you were strong. Now that we needed you to be strong, you were a coward faster than anyone else. Sigh. Little hero Yu's father could barely stand. All the old men were glaring at him. If looks could kill, he would have been riddled with holes by now. Obviously, everyone wanted him to stand up. Your little fatty's father. If you don't stand up in this awkward situation, who will? Under the murderous gazes of everyone in the hall, little hero Yu's father knelt down with a sorrowful expression. Elder Yu. What? Elder Yu and all the other elders were puzzled. Why are you kneeling? What's the matter? Little hero Yu's father only felt his chest tighten. Our Yu family shouldn't be called the Heavenly King family anymore. Let's change it to the Best Actor family. Look at all of you. You're all experienced actors. You've seen this child. He really likes that girl. We've even tested him with life and death. It seems like his heart is unmistakable. Little hero Yu's father said solemnly. The little fatty's father solemnly said, As a father, I really can't bear to see him like this. So, Elder Yu, please grant this child this one time. Little fatty was so shocked that he forgot to pretend to cry. This is my father. This is the father who beat me up whenever he saw me because of me and Xianyi. The father who wanted to whip me to death just now. My father. Could it be that he was possessed by someone? My father can't be so good to me, right? Or maybe my father loves me so much. Sob, sob, sob. I'm so touched. A father's love is like a mountain. A father's love has always been silent. He loves me so silently. When I meet a hurdle that I can't get over, although he doesn't agree, he still stands up for me. My old father. The person I love the most. You have only tasted 30% of the sweetness in the world. I haven't done enough to be your daughter in this life. I beg you. In the next life. Please be my father again. At this moment little hero Yu's heart was surging with emotions. He looked at the elders with his eyes wide open. The faces of the old ancestors softened. Many of them were sighing with doting looks on their faces. Sigh. Silly child. Forget it, forget it. The elders had just sighed when someone stole the show. They sighed and said, forget it, forget it. Instantly they were unhappy and glared at that person. Then they sighed again and said, silly child. Since it's like this, we won't break up the two of you. Our Yu family is not a third-rate family that will give up the happiness of our children and grandchildren for mere benefits. Although the family will. I forget it. It's not like the Yu family can't afford it. The elders' faces were reasonable and solemn as they said, the family exists to protect its children and grandchildren. You two are truly in love. Naturally we will grant you your wish. Little hero Yu exclaimed excitedly. Really? Chapter 1162. Of course. In the face of the adventurer's surprise, the old ancestor's expression was both helpless and kind. Silly child, we've created such a big scene to test your loyalty to love. You're the future head of the family, so you naturally have to bear more pressure than the other family members. Haha, our Yu family is the #1 family in the continent, so when did we ever need to strengthen our family through marriage? Moreover, it's a dirty deal that sacrifices the happiness of the younger generation. Old ancestor, you're the best. The adventurer's eyes were filled with tears of happiness. Cough cough, the old ancestor is right. We were just testing your loyalty to love. Cough. Old ancestor is right. Love is a major event in life, so we must be loyal. We must be tested. Don't worry, go and pursue your happiness. We won't have any objections. Everyone agreed. That's right. As long as Mo Xianyi doesn't object, she'll be the future wife of the Yu family's head. Find some time to meet Xianyi's parents. The adventurer's father said kindly. Your mother and I will treat them to a meal. It'll be a formal introduction and confirmation of our relationship. Don't let the girl suffer. Always remember your promise and treat her well. Girls need to be loved. Xianyi is a good girl. She's also a poor child. So pitiful. We have to take good care of her in the future. That's right. I'm just afraid that the little fatty will bully her. We have to keep an eye on the little fatty. How can he bully a girl? That's right. But there's one thing we have to consider. Since we've acknowledged her identity, we have to consider her safety. After all, she lives too far away and Shangjing is so complicated. Yes, I heard that Xianyi's parents aren't in good health. Our Yu family is relatives, so we should take care of them. That's right. The old ancestor turned and said, Little fatty, go get 2 longevity pills and 2 heaven reversal pills and give them to Xianyi's parents. Sai, what kind of son-in-law are you? You can't even think of this? That's right. Take good care of your father-in-law and mother-in-law. Do you think your daughter-in-law will run away? How could a brave woman be afraid of being pestered? I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. All of a sudden, the elders in the hall changed from scowling to benevolent and amiable. Now they were actually giving advice to the wandering hero. The ranger felt as if he had been hit on the head with a huge pie. Happiness. Satisfaction. He was so happy that he wanted to cry. He was so satisfied that he wanted to cry. She was so happy that she wanted to shout. The heavens have treated me so well, allowing me to have such a group of reasonable ancestors. Xianyi, I'm here. There are no more obstacles between us. Roar. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm too lucky. Thank you, ancestor. Little fatty held the heaven-grade elixir and staggered out of the house. He still felt dizzy, as if he was in a dream. Finally, in order to confirm her happiness, she fiercely scratched her own thigh. Suddenly, oh, a blood-curdling scream was heard. It's actually true. The little fatty scratched his head. Oh my God. It's not a dream. Xianyi. I have to hurry and tell Xianyi. Tell her this good news. Little Fatty jumped up high like a wild horse that had suddenly broken free from its reins. Dust billowed as he sprinted away. Guards, follow him. A few more of you go. An elder called out from behind. Protect Xian Yi's family. You. See if there are any empty courtyards nearby. Choose a good one and buy one. Then think of a way to let Emo Xian Yi's parents win a prize. The prize is a big courtyard. Understand? Hurry and do it. This matter concerns the marriage of the future head of the family. Everyone be alert. If anyone leaks this news, I'll skin them alive. Other families. This side children should be free to love. What time is it now? Why are you still thinking about such old-fashioned ideas? Isn't this something that can be easily discussed? Emo Xian Yi's house. Impossible. Emo Xian Yi said decisively. Not because of anything else, but because of the Yu family's mocking and ridiculing him during this period of time. They kept saying strange things around him and even threatened him. How could there be such a huge change in such a short time? Either there's a trap or there's some other scheme. It's true. Everything that happened before was a test from the elders of the family. It's mainly a test for me, the future head of the family, and also a test for you, the future wife of the family head. Little Fatty, you swore. If I lie to you, I'm a bastard. Emo Xian Yi's face turned cold. Scram. Hee. I'm not a bastard, I'm not a bastard. Why aren't you scramming? I'm a dog if I lied to you, alright? Woof 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 woof. You're barking now and you're still saying you're not lying to me. Then if I lie to you, may the heavens strike me with lightning. What lightning can strike you to death? If I lied to you, that has nothing to do with me. I never intended to have anything to do with you. Whatever test has nothing to do with me. Xian Yi. Stop. Don't call me that, we're not close. How many times do you want me to say it? Xian Yi. I. Go away, don't block me from washing clothes. That's right, this time the ancestor specially asked me to bring a few pills for uncle and auntie. 2 longevity pills, 2 reversal pills. I really didn't steal them this time. With my current status, I can't steal them even if I wanted to. You should believe me now, right? Little Fatty Yu was quick-witted and finally thought of his trump card. Longevity pill? Reversal pill. Emo Xian Yi turned around like a whirlwind. The longevity pill could extend one's lifespan and improve one's aptitude. A single pill could increase one's lifespan by 100 years. As for the reversal pill, it was the best medicine for Emo Xian Yi's parents who had their foundations destroyed. Although it couldn't completely restore their astral souls, it could slowly improve their condition. Coupled with the effect of the longevity pill that could increase their lifespan, it would ensure that the 2 elders could live until they were over 100 years old. During this period of time, they would have plenty of time to think of other ways. This was the foundation of the Yu family. When He Yuan's foundation was destroyed, she wouldn't live past 40 years old. But LV Yingfeng personally came to the Yu family and begged for a longevity pill and a reversal pill for He Yuanyue to consume. This allowed the old principal to extend his lifespan by 100 years. These 2 spirit pills were things that Emo Xian Yi had always dreamed of obtaining. Seeing these 4 pills, Emo Xian Yi's heart was extremely conflicted. He wanted to be more reserved, but these pills, his parents needed them too much. Seeing the little fatty's overjoyed expression, he also felt unhappy. It was as if he had sold himself for these 4 pills. This kind of conflicted feeling was not something that could be described with words. Receiving the 4 pills, Emo Xian Yi said with a straight face, "Your family's attitude is your family's attitude. You gave these pills to me willingly, I didn't promise you anything." I understand very well. The little fatty nodded repeatedly. Emo Xian Yi snorted and put the pills into his pocket, coldly saying, "I didn't promise you anything either." With his hand in his pocket, he suddenly felt that he was a bit of a bitch. Taking someone else's things while rejecting them righteously. Wasn't this just acting like an idiot? Forget it. For the sake of these 4 pills. Emo Xian Yi snorted and said, "I promise to be with you, but I can't help it. I am such a materialistic woman, your generosity has moved me." She wanted to say, "for the sake of your sincerity," but she felt that she would be more like a white lotus and a green tea. What was the point of saying, "for the sake of your sincerity"? So he simply said it out loud. "Yes, I am greedy for things. I am materialistic. I love vanity. I am such a person. It's okay. What I am most afraid of is that you are not materialistic. The little fatty spoke without thinking. Emo chuckled. Yes, I am an extremely materialistic woman. It will be easier for you to win me over in the future, right? No. Seeing Emo Xianyi's face suddenly become cold as ice, the little fatty's heart suddenly jumped. I said the wrong thing again. Why do I always say the wrong thing? You are not materialistic. If you were materialistic, wouldn't I have already? You would have already won me over, right? Maybe you would have already played with me. The little fatty anxiously walked in circles, sweating profusely. This woman is too hard to please. Now I can't even follow her words. I have to go ask Zwo for advice later. If I don't learn a few moves, I really can't deal with her. Cough. When a girl says she is materialistic, what she is waiting for is a retort. You are not materialistic at all. You are filial to your parents. You are. I already knew you are a good girl. Then the girl will secretly grumble. I am. Then you will say you are not. After going back and forth like this, the sky will naturally clear up. One wrong step here and you will basically be consigned to eternal damnation. Right now little fatty was not far from being consigned to eternal damnation. It was almost within reach. Emo Xianyi had no choice but to accept the pills that she couldn't refuse. She already had the feeling of selling herself, but the little fatty's response was completely wrong. Now that she saw the silly look on this guy's face, and he actually didn't say anything to coax her, Emo Xianyi felt even more uncomfortable. She touched the 4 pills in her pocket, but in the end she still couldn't muster the courage to throw them back. In a fit of anger she angrily snorted, turned around and walked back home. As she walked, tears of grievance fell from her eyes. For my parents I sold myself, and if I sold myself, then so be it. But this little fatty who kept saying how much he liked her, now actually acted like a buyer. Was he showing off or was he being picky? Humph. Chapter 1163. Behind Emo Xianyi, the little fatty followed along as if he was walking on clouds. His feelings were completely different from Emo Xianyi's. He felt that she had never accepted anything from him before, but now that she had accepted his gift, it meant that there was a chance that their relationship had taken a huge step forward. This was great. The little fatty who was immersed in his fantasy like a fairy or a dream, was already immersed in his fantasy. He didn't realize that the flower girl in front of him wanted to swallow him whole, and was even humming a little tune. When he walked he was surprisingly skipping and hopping. Very lively. At the same time it was very similar to the feeling of achieving one's long-cherished wish. Tick-tock tick-tock. Oh. From now on I am no longer a single dog. Thus. The two of them, one fuming with anger, the other bubbling with joy, walked back one after another. The storm on the internet was still in full swing, wave after wave. The whole continent of astral souls, with Shangjing as the center, was engulfed in fierce debates. The Wang family, who had gone against the trend, had all their businesses collapsing rapidly without exception. This momentum was like a new national movement, where everyone was pointing fingers, who would not end up dead. In some places, the office buildings of the Wang family's enterprises were pushed down, and inexplicably exploded, collapsing with a loud bang. A huge business empire and countless chains of survival had collapsed in an instant. In addition, in the cities, in the wilderness, on the streets, and in the pugilistic world there were killings everywhere. All the cultivators who belonged to the Wang clan, unless their identities had not been exposed and had not been recognized by others, would be besieged at any time once they were recognized and their identities were confirmed. Students from various universities, graduates from various batches, people from all walks of life, and people from all walks of life. This kind of thing was too easy to arouse a common hatred. The targeted posts on the internet were still hanging high up, making people angry and bloodshot. If the teacher who helped you in your life had his grave dug up after his death, what would you do? Under this post there were almost no other replies. All of them were, fuck. Fight to the death. Fight to the death. I will fight him to the death. Countless teachers of martial arts schools were excited when they saw the craze on the internet. One teacher once said with emotion during class, "If one day I die and my grave is dug up, I will feel that my life is not in vain and I will have no regrets even if I die 9 times. Countless high school teachers couldn't hide their envy when they mentioned He Yuanyue's name when they were teaching their students. How should one behave, Yuan Yue? To be able to achieve such accomplishments as a teacher, my life has not been in vain. Her student, for the sake of her injustice, is even overturning the entire world and shaking the entire continent. If I were he, Yuan Yue, I would also smile in the underworld. To hand over my life's work to such a student, it is glorious, glorious. As a teacher, to have such a student, I am truly worthy of my life. Gu Qianfan, the principal of Shuiqing First High School, directly threw out a sentence in Shangjing. Old Principal He Yuan Yue is the person I respect the most in my life. Her grave was dug up, which means that after I, Gu Qianfan, die, my grave will also be dug up. How will my children avenge me? One of the ancestors of the Wang family went through a lot of trouble to find the Heavenly King of the Right and asked him to speak up and let the Wang family go this time. The Heavenly King of the Right only said one thing: I also have a teacher. I respect him very much. If someone digs up his grave, I will definitely take revenge. I will not care about the price of my identity and position. I will not care about the price of the other party's identity. I will definitely seek justice for my teacher. If I intercede for you on this matter, I will feel sorry for my teacher and all the teachers in the world. But for the sake of Senior Wang Feihong, I will not do anything to you. This is the limit of my patience. The Wang family, take care of yourselves. The Southern Marshal Nanjing Qian directly scolded the person who pleaded for mercy for the Wang family. How dare you come to me to plead for mercy after doing such a shameless thing? You may be shameless, but I still have my face. You should be glad that I am no longer the Minister of Finance in Shangjing. Otherwise, the Wang family would have been homeless and wouldn't have the chance to make a fuss in front of me. The Wang family was already in a precarious situation and was about to collapse. At least on the surface, it seemed like it was too late for them to find trouble with Suishao Duo. Suishao Duo and the others were making use of the time to cultivate in Shangjing. During the day, they would wander around to gather information and check on the progress of the situation. At night, they would swarm into the Spatial Destruction Pagoda to cultivate. Everyone was holding their breaths, competing with each other, comparing with each other. They were competing to see who would break through to the Ascendant Realm later. Currently, everyone was at the critical point. To put it bluntly, if someone were to speak loudly or fart uncontrollably, it would be possible for them to break through the Celestial Bridge and enter the Ascendant Realm. The person who entered the sect the latest would have a deeper foundation and a stronger foundation. Sui Xiaonian also accompanied them in their cultivation. Every day she would impart the insights of the Ascendant Realm to everyone. She allowed everyone who was at the peak of the nascent profound realm and a half step into the Ascendant Realm to have a basic understanding of the Ascendant Realm. The result of this was that at this stage, everyone began to analyze that feeling on their own, vaguely confirming it. According to what Bai Yun Duo had told Sui Xiaonian, in the final stage of the nascent profound realm, the more insights one could gain from the Ascendant Realm, the better. The deeper the insights, the better. Based on this understanding, everyone was working hard in this direction. Suishao Duo had also reached his limit. According to his estimation, he had suppressed around 70 times. This was not only an unprecedented achievement, but also Suishao Duo's current limit. However, he couldn't tell anyone about this, not even Sui Xiaonian. I'm about to break through. I've really reached my limit. There's no way I can suppress it anymore. Suishao Duo sighed. He quietly consumed the 9 heavens spirit spring water and made the final preparations for his breakthrough. He glanced at Sui Xiaonian from the corner of his eyes and pondered. If he were to fight Nian Mao now, that he didn't dare to say anything else, but he should be able to achieve a draw. Right? However, if he were to fight Nian Mao, a draw would be equivalent to a loss. There were many places he couldn't attack, many moves he couldn't use, and many weapons he couldn't use. Therefore, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. If he removed these factors, what awaited him was still a violent beating. If I want to completely defeat Nian Mao, I'll probably have to go one step further. I'll have to cultivate all the way to the Dao integration stage before I can achieve my long-cherished wish. However, by then, I'll be able to casually arrange her into 360 different positions. Suishao Duo stroked his chin. He looked fascinated and immersed. These 13 people fought like pigs in the Tower of Annihilation every day. Most of them had pig heads and pig faces most of the time. However, the strength of each of them showed signs of increasing at a rapid pace. Ever since they saw Suishao Duo's small house, everyone changed into this. The walls were all top-grade astral souls jade, the pillows and beds were all top-grade astral souls jade. They were constantly absorbing energy and making great strides forward. Breakthrough. Zhuo Xiaoyan saw Zhuo Xiaoduo looking at her suspiciously and thought that he was worried about breaking through. You're already at the peak of vitality. Breaking through is a matter of course. There's no possibility of failure. Zhuo Xiaoduo grinned. I'm not worried about breaking through at all. I'm thinking about how to arrange the positions after I've beaten you into submission. However, he definitely couldn't say this out loud. Yes, I understand. I'll break through tonight. The moment Zhuo Xiaoduo made up his mind, an indescribable emotion appeared in his heart. I'll fly. What does flying represent? Flying represents my mother's approval. I'll officially leave the ranks of single dogs. From now on. As he thought about it, he looked at Zhuo Xiaoyan's body and face. He couldn't help but lose control of the power of the Flaming Sun Sutra. Suddenly, it protruded indecently. Xiao flapped her wings and flew over. Her round eyes looked at Zhuo Xiaoduo's crotch and felt that it was very strange. Why is there a piece here? Hence. She instinctively pecked at it with her sharp beak. Ouch! Zhuo Xiaoduo screamed. His expression changed. He grabbed Xiao and gritted his teeth. Little bastard. I'll pluck your hair. Zhuo Xiaoyan's mind was racing. She turned around and ran away with a red face. Pervert. Zhuo Xiaoduo turned around and rushed into the room. He opened his pants to check and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xiao was just curious and didn't use any force. Furthermore, it was through his pants. He wasn't injured. It was just that he was flicked. If Xiao had spat out a mouthful of solar true fire. Zhuo Xiaoduo shuddered. He pointed at Xiao and said angrily, "You can't peck here in the future. Do you understand?" Xiao's body was held in Zhuo Xiaoduo's hand. Only her black, sharp head could be seen. Her eyes were rolling around as she nodded her head in confusion. Sword of Empress Envia transformed into a shadow and flew here and there, filled with a gloating expression. O seventh crown prince, O seventh crown prince, when your cultivation reaches a certain level, you'll break the seal and regain your memories. You'll feel like dying. She actually pecked at that place. When the time comes and you forget, I'll definitely remind you. I'll never forget. That night, Zhuo Xiaoduo prepared a large batch of high-quality materials and prepared to try to break through to the Skysoar realm. Well, the word try should be removed. The so-called breakthrough to the Skysoar realm was just a formality for the current Zhuo Xiaoduo. However, in order to be safe, he prepared to break through in the Tower of Annihilation. Zhuo Xiaoyan had broken through in the Tower of Annihilation. You're going to break through to the Skysoar realm? Lei Changtian's eyes widened. Yes. You're going to break through in your space? Yes. No, absolutely not. Chapter 1164. Lei Zhangtian vetoed the idea firmly. Your breakthrough must be carried out in the open, and you have to receive the heavenly Tao's baptism. Zhuo Xiaoduo was dumbfounded. There's no need for that, Grandpa. Nian broke through in the Tower of Annihilation. Why am I the only exception? Nian is Nian and you are you. Lei Changtian said, Nian has a pure Yin body, a body of 9 astral souls, and she has the blessing of the phoenix. She can choose to break through in your space. There's a huge amount of vitality in your space, and Nian can break through there with twice the result with half the effort. However, with your pure yang body, it's not appropriate for you to follow Nian's example. Zhuo Xiaoduo was dumbfounded and his head was filled with question marks. Grandpa's words seemed to make sense, but why couldn't he understand? Whether it was luck, physique, or astral souls, Zhuo Xiaoduo knew that no one in the world could compare to him. However, in response to Lei Changtian's words, Zhuo Xiaoduo expressed that he had never heard of such a saying, and he couldn't understand it. No means no. You must break through in the outside world. Lei Changtian's attitude was unprecedentedly firm. However, he couldn't give a concrete reason to persuade Zhuo Xiaoduo and could only be anxious. At this moment, Bai Yun Duo descended from the sky. Wait a moment, master and mistress will be here soon. Zhuo Xiaoduo's breakthrough was a big deal. Previously, Zhuo Xiaoyan broke through in the Tower of Annihilation, and Bai Yun Duo didn't know about it. However, this time Bai Yun Duo immediately reported it as soon as she heard the news. If she didn't report it, she felt that she would be beaten up. Upon hearing this, Lei Changtian immediately cowered. I have something to do and I haven't recovered from my cold. I'm going to get an intravenous drip. After giving an extremely lame excuse, the demon ancestor disappeared without a trace. Who is your master's wife? Your father and mother. Mom and dad are coming. Zhuo Duo and Zhuo Xiaoyan were a little scared at this moment, but they quickly gathered their courage. They were the ones who kept us in the dark for so long. What are we afraid of? They should be the ones feeling guilty. Zhuo Duo mustered up his courage and said to Zhuo Xiaoyan in a trembling voice, Nian Yin Cat, I'm telling you we're on the right side now. As long as you're on my side today, we'll definitely be able to defeat the Demon King together. There's no such thing in the world. Since ancient times, no father and mother have kept their son and daughter in the dark for so long. Zhuo Xiaoyan was not as courageous as Zhuo Duo. She was now cowering in fear. She took a deep breath and said timidly, Defeat the Demon King? You're too daring. I just hope that our mother won't beat me up. It's still easy to talk to our father, but it's really hard to get past our mother. Why are you trembling? Why are you so afraid of her? Zhuo Duo encouraged her and said, You're our daughter-in-law. You don't have to be afraid of her. It's an eternal truth that mother-in-law and daughter-in-law can't get along well. You have to learn how to resist, learn how to fight, learn how to monopolize my heart. Zhuo Xiaoyan trembled and said, But I'll really get beaten up if I do that. Zhuo Duo said, As long as you stand in front and act like a spoiled child, our mother won't be willing to beat you. After all, you're mother and daughter. But our father is willing to. Zhuo Xiaoyan shook her head like a rattle drum. No, why don't you stand in front? If I stand in front, I'll be the one getting beaten up. Zhuo Duo said matter-of-factly, Girls always have some dignity. Zhuo Xiaoyan said timidly, Forget it. When have I ever had any dignity in our family? You're dreaming too much. Then forget it. Zhuo Duo sighed. I found such a cowardly daughter-in-law like you. Sigh. Zhuo Xiaoyan rolled her eyes. If you're not a coward, why don't you do it? You only know how to talk. I'm a coward too. Zhuo Duo sighed and was very pessimistic. He felt that he would never be able to raise his head in front of his parents for the rest of his life. The possibility of him usurping the throne and becoming the new head of the family. With the exposure of his parents' identities, it seemed more and more impossible. I'm a coward and my daughter-in-law is also a coward. The whole family is a coward to the core. Zhuo Duo rolled his eyes and glanced at Zhuo Xiaoyan. He saw that the girl's face was full of panic and her eyes were wandering around. We're your parents. What are you afraid of? Zhuo Duo was furious. If you're not afraid, why are you trembling? Zhuo Xiaoyan asked softly. I'm not trembling. Zhuo Duo refused to admit his mistake. With a soft tearing sound, the space around Zhuo Duo was accurately torn from the middle like a piece of cloth, and a spatial portal appeared naturally. Zhuo Changlu stepped out of the portal elegantly and calmly as usual. Then Wu Yuding followed behind him with a smile on her face. When the couple received the news from Bai Yun Duo that Zhuo Duo was about to break through to the Ascension Realm, they couldn't stay outside and immediately rushed back. Dad. Mom. Zhuo Duo and Zhuo Xiaoyan cheered and rushed forward. Ha ha ha. Wu Yuding hugged Zhuo Duo and Zhuo Xiaoyan in each arm. She looked at their faces and smiled. Have the two of you been good these few days? Good. Zhuo Xiaoyan looked up and said, I'm the most obedient. Mom Xiao Duo said that he wants to settle the score with you and defeat the Great Demon King. He said that you are the Great Demon King of the world. She had sold out Zhuo Duo completely with just one sentence. Zhuo Xiaoduo's eyes widened and his body stiffened. He turned to look at Zhuo Xiaoyan in disbelief. Even if you don't join me in the rebellion, you can't be a traitor so quickly. Isn't this selling your husband for glory? Wu Yuding skillfully grabbed Zhuo Xiaoduo's ear and pulled it up. A dog, you want to rebel? Defeat the Great Demon King? Who's the Great Demon King? Your dad or your mom? I don't dare. Zhuo Duo begged for mercy with a face full of flattery. His expression was rich and sincere. Mom, how could I rebel against you and Dad? We are a family. This is not Nian Nian Cat. She feels that her status has risen from a daughter to a daughter-in-law. He wants the right to speak. I'm just testing her. Great Demon King, you are the Great Demon King. Grandpa is the Great Demon King. You are the daughter of the Great Demon King. If you are not the great demon king, then what are you? I am the little demon king. Sister Nyen is the little demon girl. Mom, don't listen to nonsense. I'm not like that. Sui Xiaonian twisted her body in Wu Yuding's arms. Flap. Sui Chonglu slapped Sui Xiaoduo on the back of his head and said, other than you who wants to be the head of the family every day, Xiaonian doesn't want to be the head of the family. What demon king and demon girl? If you are all demons, then what am I? Sui Xiaoduo touched the back of his head. He was angry but didn't dare to say anything. You two hid it from us for so long. You're too much. Of course his voice was very low. But no matter how low it was, how could he hide it from Sui Chonglu and Wu Yuding? The two of them suddenly felt a headache. These two fellows were clearly scared to this extent, but they still brought it up. This meant that these two fellows still had some thoughts about this matter. There must be a reason for this. Sui Chonglu and Wu Yuding brought their son and daughter into the room. Li Chenglong and the others were cultivating in the Tower of Annihilation. Outside, the family of four was alone. Well, Bai Yun Duo also came in with a warm smile on her face. Little junior brother, little junior sister. This is your sister-in-law. Bai Yun Duo. Sui Chonglu introduced calmly. Well, you guessed right. The king of Zhuolu Yunzhonghu was my disciple back then. Xiao Duo is your mother's disciple. The jade powder of astral souls outside Fenghai was made by your sister-in-law. Do you really think that stuff will fall from the sky? I see. Thank you, sister-in-law, for putting in so much effort and going through so much trouble. Sui Xiaoduo understood tacitly and understood everything. He thanked her profusely. It's good that you understand, Sui Chonglu said. Well, so that's how senior brother and sister-in-law came to be? Mom and Dad didn't start with the two of us, but it's a tradition of our family. I see. Sui Xiaoduo paused for a moment before letting out a sigh of realization. Sui Chonglu's face darkened. This brat had been enlightened and he had actually comprehended this one? What the hell did he comprehend? Bai Yun Duo almost laughed out loud. After half a day, Sui Xiaoduo, who had been taught a lesson again, sat obediently on a small stool. Sui Xiaonian sat on a small stool next to him. Wu Yuding and Sui Chonglu sat on the two-seater sofa in front of them. Bai Yun Duo accompanied them on the one-seater sofa on the right. This kind of formation felt a little like a class. First of all, I have to explain to you why we hide our identities. Wu Yuding said. But after she explained it, she saw that the two of them were sitting upright with their 4 ears erect. They really looked like a cat and a dog sitting in front of her seriously. She couldn't help but burst out laughing. Sui Xiaoduo and Sui Xiaonian looked at her innocently with round eyes. What's wrong? Ahem, let me do it. Sui Chonglu couldn't help but like Sui Xiaoduo, so he knocked twice on his head before he began to explain. Sui Xiaoduo touched his head. What's going on? Why did he hit me again? At that time your mother and I encountered a bottleneck in our cultivation. We couldn't make any progress for a long time, and our enemy had already begun to make a breakthrough. If we didn't make a corresponding attempt, once our enemy succeeded in breaking through and returned, it would be a disaster for the astral souls. It was even possible that they would all fall. But it's easier said than done. If it was easy or if there was a direction to make a breakthrough, we would have done it a long time ago. However, things were urgent and we had no choice but to seal our bodies, separate our bodies from our souls, and then separate our souls from our divine sense. In the way of transforming into the mortal world, we tried to make a breakthrough. Chapter 1165. Although the mortal dust can purify one's soul and clear one's mind, it is also very risky. First of all, during the process of the mortal dust, the two of us really don't have any martial arts. Whether it is the soul, the body, the vital spirit, or even the cultivation state, everything is sealed and can't be used. In other words, even if we see you in trouble, we can't do anything. We can solve the problem by ourselves, but we can only look on coldly and watch you fight. Sui Chonglu said apologetically, in this matter, as the person involved in the mortal dust transformation, it is reasonable. It is also the reality that we can't do anything. But from the perspective of your parents, we have wronged you too. Sui Xiaoduo and Sui Xiaonian's eyes were red. They shook their heads at the same time. We don't feel wronged. With what you said today, we don't feel wronged at all. This was the truth. Originally, they might have felt a little resentment in their hearts. You two are the most powerful people in the world, but we, as your children, Don't enjoy any privileges or benefits. However, as Zhu Zhonglu uttered these words, the little bit of emotion in the hearts of the two men instantly vanished like smoke in thin air, and no longer existed. Which family's children didn't go through this? Do the children of big shots have to enjoy special privileges? It doesn't make sense. The two of them instantly succeeded in their own way. Back then we were most worried about Xiao Duo's aptitude and Xiao Nian's soul-piercing phoenix vein. Thinking of these two things, even Wu Yuding and Zhu Chonglu sighed inside. Because these two things were impossible for the two of them to solve at that stage. Zhu Xiaoduo's aptitude, even at their current level, could only be solved if they improved a lot. And Zhu Xiaonian's matter couldn't be solved even if they improved a lot. Xiao Duo's aptitude is congenital. It is extremely strange. Until now we still can't find the vein and the root. This is the first helplessness. Fortunately you solved it by yourself. Zhu Chonglu sighed. As for little Nian's Phoenix Meridian soul charging, it's a heavenly Dao layout. Even if we wanted to interfere we couldn't. Once you interfere, not only will you be directly targeted by the heavenly Dao, but it will also cause the situation that is already tilted towards the other side to become even more tilted. Zhu Chonglu said, that's the second helplessness. We tried our best to bypass the rules, but it was still limited to your Uncle Wu and Uncle Nan coming once in the name of visiting Xiao Duo. As for the Phoenix Vein soul cleansing layout, your Uncle Nan arranged for an expert to secretly watch over it. In the end, if little Nian is unable to survive that round, the person who is secretly watching over you will sacrifice himself to save you. However, after you escape danger, that person's soul will be destroyed under the punishment of the heavenly Dao. Your Uncle Nan will also face the pursuit of the heavenly Dao. His life and death will be unpredictable. Zhu Xiaoduo's expression changed when he heard that. He interrupted. So at that time, Uncle Nan left Nanjiang and came to Shangjing because he planned to use Shangjing's Providence Array to fight for a greater chance of survival? Zhu Chonglu said indifferently, yes, that's the plan. You have the legacy of the old principle He Yuanyue's aura observation technique. Naturally, you know how terrifying the heavenly Dao is. In this world, only Shangjing, a place where dragons mix, can slightly hide from the heavenly Dao's eyes. This is the arrangement that your mother and I made for little Nian after racking our brains. Other than these two things, there are other small matters that are not worth mentioning. Zhu Chonglu picked up his teacup and took a sip. He said, then there are other things about you. I'll tell you about them. As Zhu Chonglu spoke, Zhu Xiaoduo and Zhu Xiaonian listened attentively. Beside him, Bai Yunduo's face was filled with admiration. Sure enough, sons and daughters are different from disciples. If it were me and Xiaohu, we wouldn't be treated like this. Not to mention explaining, it would be good enough if we didn't get beaten up. However, as he watched Zhu Zhonglu explain himself, he also felt annoyed and continued to beat up Zhu Xiaoduo. Bai Yunduo's heart slowly calmed down. Finally, Zhu Xiaoduo exploded. He touched his head and looked up. Dad, I asked you to explain to us. I can understand that you're unhappy and I can understand that you hit us. But why did you only hit me? Why didn't you hit Nian Mao? You're treating her differently. Zhu Chonglu said slowly, Nian Mao is my daughter-in-law now. As her father-in-law, how can I hit my daughter-in-law? How can there be such a logic in the world? Zhu Xiaoduo said angrily, when you hit her, you could have treated her as your daughter first. After you hit her, it wouldn't be too late to treat her as your daughter-in-law. Nian Mao is your daughter-in-law and I'm your son-in-law. How can you be an elder like this? Zhu Xiaonian. Flap. Zhu Xiaoduo was hit again. Shut up. What kind of husband are you? You actually threw your wife out to take the hit. Isn't it because you didn't hit her enough? Wu Yuding also hit him. Zhu Xiaoduo could only shut up and turn to Zhu Xiaonian. Zhu Xiaonian was already pouting and turning her face away, ignoring him. Oh no. I've offended you. Zhu Xiaoduo slapped his thigh. He knew that he had said something very wrong. He regretted it so much that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Mom, Dad, aren't you doing this to me? Zhu Xiaoduo was full of resentment. I'm about to break through to the sky realm. Once I break through, I'll be able to consummate my marriage. But at this time, you just had to dig a hole for me to offend her. What should I do? Do whatever you want. Wu Yuding crossed her arms and said lightly, I've stuffed your daughter-in-law into your bed since you were young. If you still can't handle it, then you're useless. Go hang yourself. Zhuo Duo was dumbfounded. Mom. Zhu Xiaoyan couldn't take it anymore. Zhu Zhonglu explained everything in the shortest and most concise manner. The husband and wife heaved a sigh of relief. It wasn't that he had to explain it to Zhu Duo and Zhu Xiaoyan. It was just that with so many things weighing down on his heart, it was also hard for him. If he said it out loud, his children would understand and he would be able to get rid of a worry in his heart, making his state of mind perfect. Zhu Chonglu described the process of the two of them since they were born into the mortal world in an unusually calm tone. Zhu Duo and Zhu Xiaoyan listened with a myriad of thoughts. How many things were there to raise a child from childhood to adulthood? How could it be summarized with just a few things? When they were born, they were overjoyed. When they were sick, they frowned and worried. When they couldn't cultivate, they were full of worries. When they could cultivate, they were afraid that they would die. When they went to school, they looked forward to it. Were they tired? Was it hard? Was it painful? When they fell behind, they expected better from them. When they improved, would it be too tiring? Especially when they were raising a pair of martial artist children like Zhu Xiaoyan and Zhu Duo. When they could cultivate, each of them was a first-class genius with excellent qualifications. However, they faced more dangers of life and death. They didn't dare to speak or ask. They could only wait for their return. They clearly had great abilities and great powers, but they couldn't use them. They could only rely on their children's own efforts. The soul of the Phoenix Pulse. That was a very dangerous thing, a very dangerous situation. Her parents knew about the soul of the Phoenix Pulse early on, so they sealed the Feng Manor in the study, waiting for the day their daughter broke through. There were thousands of considerations, thousands of arrangements, countless calculations. They were all parents' hearts and they were really worried to death. Zhu Xiaoyan's eyes reddened and tears were about to flow out. "Dad, Mom, thank you." The two of them stood up together and bowed respectfully. The little bit of resentment in his heart that his parents had hidden their identities had long since flown to God knows where. Wu Yuding's eyes reddened, but she said angrily, "Do we have to say thank you to our own parents?" "We have to." Zhu Duo and Zhu Xiaoyan said at the same time, "Dad and Mom never owed us anything. We owe them. Although we can't do anything for them, we still have to say thank you." Zhu Duo sighed in his heart and said, "Now that I think about it, I did have a lot of adventures. But if I think about it carefully, if I didn't have the resources and connections that Dad and Mom set up early on, with my little effort and luck, how could I reach where I am today? It's impossible. Although Dad and Mom keep saying that they can't do anything for us, in reality they've done everything for us. Without Dad and Mom, there would be no Uncle Nan's help. Without Dad and Mom, there would be no Uncle Wu's help. Without Dad and Mom, why would sister-in-law Yun Duo gather so much Astral Soul's jade powder for me? Without Dad and Mom, there are too many things that we wouldn't have had a chance to get." Zhu Duo said seriously, "So Dad, Mom, thank you." Zhu Chonglu said with relief, "Actually, your mom and I are already very satisfied. Most parents do everything they should do to the extreme, but their children are still useless and can only be let down. You and Yan Yan have already made us feel that we are among the best parents. Something to be proud of." Zhu Zhonglu's words were full of emotion. Zhu Duo could feel this and Zhu Chonglu was very happy. He felt that the hard work of these years was nothing in an instant. He glanced at Zhu Duo and thought to himself, "Little dog, you missed out on one thing and that was your godfather. If it weren't for my plan, you wouldn't have had the luck to obtain the world's #1 hammer technique. Of course, if it weren't for me, Flood wouldn't have been so lucky to pick up a godson and goddaughter for no reason." Zhu Xiaoyan rolled her delicate body and snuggled into Wu Yuding's arms. Now that the serious matter was over, she could naturally act coquettishly. Zhu Duo looked at her eagerly. He also wanted to snuggle into her arms and act coquettishly. However, after thinking carefully, he decisively gave up on this unrealistic and irrational approach. If he really went over at the wrong time, what awaited him would probably be an inhumane threesome. "About your breakthrough." Zhu Chonglu's expression suddenly became serious. Wu Yuding hugged Zhu Xiaoyan and also became serious. Chapter 1166. You have to break through outside and come into contact with the heavenly Tao. Only then can you break through. Your grandfather's insistence on this point is not wrong at all. Zhu Duo was puzzled. Although Grandpa explained the reason, I don't understand. How did Nian Yan cat? Your sister Nian Yan is different from you. Apart from the difference in her physique. Sui Zhonglu said indifferently, there's another, more important reason. This time the dragon's fight for heritage has the same nature as the reciting phoenix pulse soul. It is also the so-called way of heaven. In other words, the part we can participate in this round is still limited. Way of heaven? Sui Xiaoduo's eyes widened. Another way of heaven? I even suspect that this round is the continuation of the phoenix pulse spirit, Sui Chonglu said. Little duo, you've studied the old principle He Yuanyue's aura observation technique, and your attainments in it are quite profound. You also have a profound understanding of the supernatural power of aura observation technique. You're blessed by the heavens in your aura observation technique. However, if you think about it carefully, during the Phoenix Pulse Soul situation that day, if it weren't for the fire dragon rushing up and protecting the Phoenix, would the Phoenix Pulse Soul situation still be able to rise up calmly afterwards? From the beginning to the end, the fire dragon hovered and protected the surroundings, so that the Phoenix could focus on flying without any distractions. Is there a hidden meaning behind this? Hidden meaning? Are you saying that this is a hidden meaning of our fate? Sui Xiaoduo was shocked. Sui Chonglu's words seemed to have awakened a person from a dream. Sui Xiaoduo's thoughts flashed back to the past. His father's words were concise and comprehensive, but they hit the nail on the head. Yes, although the Phoenix Pulse Spirit layout was extremely dangerous, most of the pressure was actually on Sui Xiaoduo, the person who planned and protected the Phoenix Pulse Spirit layout. Mobilizing the manpower of all parties, dealing with the various forces, and turning the originally dangerous situation into one that was advantageous to their own side. Only then did they have the final success. If Nian Nian is the beautiful phoenix that doesn't care about anything and only cares about flapping her wings to soar into the sky, then Toto is the fire dragon that protects the surroundings, no matter how big or small, and carries the wind and rain on his shoulders. Sui Chonglu stared at the thoughtful Sui Xiaoduo. Now do you understand? Sui Xiaoduo was in a daze for a moment. Suddenly he remembered that night when He Yuanyue's sister Lan, and the others were at the top of Phoenix Turtle's head, and saw the phenomenon of heaven and earth. The phoenix was hovering, waiting. He waited until the fire dragon rose into the air, shaking its head and wagging its tail as it soared into the heavens. Then, the phoenix flew up into the sky with ease and soared into the 9 heavens. From the beginning to the end, the fire dragon's huge body was connected to the heavens and earth, and it hovered around the phoenix in its protection. No matter how strong the wind and rain were outside, no matter how earth-shattering and no matter how heavy the thunderstorm was, it didn't affect the phoenix at all. All the dangers, all the attacks and all the dangers were all blocked by the fire dragon. The phoenix was only responsible for soaring into the sky and being beautiful. Everything else was taken care of by the fire dragon. As Sui Xiaoduo thought about it, he suddenly smiled and said, "So, the dragons fighting for the heritage this time is targeting my heavenly Dao layout? That should be the case. I can only say that the heavenly Dao has the basis, and karma brings about its own results," Sui Chonglu said. "And the reason why Nian Nian can break through to the sky realm no matter where she is because I have already taken over all the tribulations that belong to her? So she only needs to focus on breaking through in peace, but when I break through I have to accept the baptism of the heavenly Dao layout. Or could it be that this is actually some kind of backlash from the heavenly Dao against my forceful interference with the heavenly Dao layout? If I can overcome it, everything will be fine, but if I can't, I will be consigned to eternal damnation." Sui Xiaoduo asked. "The meaning is about the same, but you missed out on one thing which is also the most important thing, and that is the providence." Sui Chonglu said, "The providence of the dragons and the phoenixes is already against the heavens. Since the phoenix vein has successfully risen, what follows is to continue to rise, but in the end, it still needs a guardian to help it break through the barrier. The guardian has to bear his own providence and also the phoenix's providence. This is because this is already his responsibility. From the moment he got involved in this matter, the two can no longer be separated. It is like the various arrangements you made in the past and even the layout in Phoenix City." Sui Chonglu said indifferently, "You connected the Phoenix Vein's providence with the nation's providence. This is naturally a good thing for Nian, but when you break through, a great calamity will befall you because there will be a double punishment from the heavenly Dao. However, this is not only the backlash from the heavenly Dao but also the backlash from the people. Don't tell me you don't know where the core of the Yanwu Empire and the center of the people is? Shangjing." "Yes, Shangjing. And now you are at the center of the Yenwu Empire's providence, and you are about to break through to the Ascendant Realm, wanting to completely break free from the shackles and be free from the heavens. If you don't bear it, who will? Zhuchanglu said. But I only feel the tide of heaven and earth, and I don't feel the relevant phenomenon of the dragon vein soaring into the sky. Dad, as the target of the heavenly Tao layout you mentioned, I have not sensed it at all until now. This doesn't seem to make sense, right? Zhuchao Duo was puzzled by this point. Logically speaking, this shouldn't be. Although you are proficient in the aura-gazing technique, your experience is still too shallow. The dragon vein hasn't formed the image of our ascendant yet, so how can the phenomenon of the heavenly Tao appear? Zhuchanglu said indifferently, things like providence will never erupt on its own. Instead, it is permanently attached to a certain person, and with this person's surging winds and clouds, it will shake the 9 heavens' providence at a certain point in time and disturb the Milky Way's fortune. Therefore, everything you don't understand now will become clear after you break through to the Ascendant Realm. And now the entire Shangjing's heavenly Tao layout is actually in a state of silence, waiting for the rain to fall. Everything will have to wait until you break through to the Ascendant Realm before this layout will truly begin. A unique layout that combines the right time, the right place, the right people, providence, and the Tao of fortune. Zhuchao Duo came to a realization and said, so that's how it is, so this is the truth. Zhuchanglu said indifferently, the so-called soaring dragon and dancing phoenix from a certain point of view, is that only the soaring dragon will have the dancing phoenix. The so-called dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. At this point he suddenly had a thought and said, perhaps this heavenly Tao layout is the dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. Zhuchao Duo said, that's not right. The dragon and phoenix bring prosperity is a good phrase that implies good things, but this heavenly Tao layout is clearly a killing trap targeted at the soaring dragon. There are 2 sides to everything in the world. A killing trap can also be a dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. Don't you know that a crisis is also a turning point? Eliminating the killing intent is naturally a good opportunity. If the soaring dragon survives the killing trap, it will naturally be a happy ending for everyone, and the dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. If the soaring dragon and phoenix bring prosperity, to those who are on the opposing side, it may be a dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. When the dragon and phoenix bring prosperity, the dragon and phoenix bring prosperity will all belong to the enemy. This is also a dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. Zhuchao Duo was dumbfounded. Of course. Because to the enemy this is a dragon and phoenix bring prosperity. That's why your breakthrough is especially important at the moment. Because if your breakthrough this time goes smoothly, it will inevitably trigger a great tide of the heavenly Tao. To the enemy it's not a good thing. Based on this argument, the best way is to interfere with your progress so that you can break through, but it can't be in the most perfect state. It's best if you break through with some regrets. If you succeed, you'll promote a flawed layout. Heaven and earth are incomplete, and there's rarely anything perfect in this world. To the heavenly Tao, it's also a state that the heavenly Tao is willing to accept. The current heavenly Tao is also in an incomplete state. If you break through in a perfect state, it'll only become more and more out of its control. Zhuchanglu said until here, and suddenly there was a faint sound of thunder in the sky. Muffled sounds could be heard coming and going in the clouds. The whole world was dignified and solemn as if it was warning something. Zhuchanglu frowned and turned to look at the sky outside the window. He shouted in a low voice, "You're so noisy. As a father, it's fair for me to teach my son." "It's none of your business." His voice wasn't loud, but it went straight to the clouds. In an instant, the clouds in the sky dissipated and the sky became clear again. "Dad, you're so awesome," Zhuchao Duo said with great admiration. With just a few words, the wind and clouds changed color, and the sky became clear in an instant. This kind of unworldly cultivation was really terrifying and appalling. On the other side, Zhuxiaonian and Bai Yun Duo also showed a look of admiration and shock. Such a thing of rebutting the will of the heavenly Tao with just a few words was not only unprecedented, but also unheard of. "There's nothing to be awesome about." Zhuchanglu shook his head. "There's no such thing as reason. I teach my son and point him in the right direction. It's a righteous thing to do. A father teaches his son and no one can say anything. Even the heavenly Tao can't say no and can only give in. Do you think that I was just casually talking about heaven's justice? But it's also because of this that the heavenly Tao won't give me face when you break through. Even if I'm already at the top of this world, it's still the same. Swishow Duo took a deep breath. Then I'll break through outside. Yes, your mother, your grandfather, and your sister-in-law will protect you during your breakthrough this time. Swishow Duo was dumbfounded. Isn't this a little too grand? Swishow Duo couldn't be blamed for being surprised. It was just a Zhao's breakthrough, but the heaven-inspecting minister and his wife, the demon ancestor, and the king of Zwalu's wife had to protect him personally. This was simply. Swishow Duo instantly felt like he was floating. Not only did he float to the sky, but he also continued to float. Wu Yuding smiled and said, "Isn't it fair for us to protect our own son? There's nothing wrong with that." She looked at Zhuchanglu and smiled knowingly. They didn't say anything else. There wasn't any nervousness in the depths of their eyes. However, the couple's hearts were filled with nervousness. Chapter 1167. Although they did not say it explicitly and would not say it out loud to increase the pressure on Swishow Duo, both husband and wife knew that Swishoud's round was extremely dangerous and crucial. If it was purely to prevent someone from causing trouble, any one of these four people would be able to guarantee that nothing would go wrong. However, Swishoud's breakthrough was an extension of the heavenly Tao. What was involved was not only the human Tao. Even if Zhuchanglu and his wife were to personally protect him, they could not guarantee that there would not be any accidents during this breakthrough. If it was only the will of the heavenly Tao of the Umno Alliance and the Astral Souls Tao League, it would be fine. However, this time there was most likely something else strange. There would be an inexplicable variable. The reason was very simple. Swishow Duo had taken the initiative to bear the entire Dragon Phoenix tribulation by himself. It had already increased the danger factor by several times. This was the Dragon Phoenix tribulation, the second great tribulation in the world. Zhuchanglu and his wife were not confident at all about whether they could survive it perfectly. If they only wanted to survive, there was a 10,000% chance that they could. Even without any protections, Swishow Duo could survive it by himself. However, the key was the word perfect. Once this breakthrough started with a perfect start, it would be the first step outside the heavenly Tao. In other words, there was hope for the future to transcend the heavenly Tao. Even Zhuchanglu and Wu Yuding had never heard of anyone achieving this kind of achievement. This kind of achievement was just a guess of the people at the top of the world. Possible. I want to break through tonight, Swishow Duo said. He couldn't hold it in any longer. That impatient feeling of "I want to show off" had turned his bones into white clouds. If it wasn't for the string of pendants at his crotch, he might have already floated up to the sky. No, not today. Wu Yuding said, "Tonight is not the time. The fastest time for you to break through will have to wait until tomorrow night." Why? Swishow Duo was puzzled by the timing. Because you still have some leeway now. You can still do more preparation work. Wu Yuding touched her interspatial ring and said, "I have quite a few natural treasures here. I was planning to make a meal of chive pancakes. But now that you're using it as an opportunity to break through, you can be considered to have made the best use of it and complemented each other." As he spoke, he began to take them out one by one. Bai Yun Duo, who was at the side, was dazzled by the sight. This is the Umno Alliance's hurricane crab. This is the water flame bamboo. This is tranquil lotus root from the Tao League. When should you eat it? And this is the so-called ingredients that Wu Yuding had collected for such a long time finally came in handy today. Then there was a long and tireless explanation, such as what to eat before breaking through, how much to eat, what to eat first when encountering white lightning, what to eat when encountering red lightning. Then he began to take out all kinds of protective treasures. Just for this breakthrough of yours, your father and I spent a few days looking for those hidden demonic beasts. After a few days of hard work, we finally found a heavenly king-level demonic beast. After a friendly negotiation, this demonic beast contributed a piece of skin. Although it was only one piece, the amount was enough. It was enough for me to make a pair of shoes, a pair of gloves, a hat, a waistcoat, a vest, and a coat for you. Originally, I wanted to make a set for Nian Nian. Isn't it the most popular couple outfits between young couples? But your father pitied that monster and said that it had shrunk its body. The skin on its entire body was enough. If we make another set, it would inevitably grow a new layer. Not only would it not be powerful enough, it would also seem that we were too much of a bully. We have to be kind to others. We can't be too unethical. Wu Yuding was a little regretful. She patted Sui Xiaoyan on the shoulder and said, "But it doesn't matter. That monster said that when we are done here we can go to him again. He will take us to find another monster of the same level as him and let that monster contribute 1 or 2. By the way, this monster specifically said that the other one is beautiful and the fur pattern is more suitable for making clothes." Bai Yun Duo looked up. She really had no strength to complain. How much did he have to bully this demonic beast for it to reach such a state? That was a Heavenly King level monster. Its real combat power was definitely above the ordinary Heavenly King level. But in the hands of Master, it seemed to be more like raising an obedient kitten. And this helmet, it's the Raging Fire Witch's protective treasure. I originally wanted his armor, but I'm a thin-skinned person. I'm really embarrassed to ask for all of them, so I only asked for a helmet. I'll make do with it. This shield is the spiritual treasure of the Tao League's Taoist Feng. He owes us so much. This shield is definitely not enough. Just treat it as interest. You don't have to have any psychological burden. This is. In the blink of an eye, helmets, shields, breastplates and other protective treasures. Sui Xiao Duo had received 20 to 30 of them. Every one of them was a rare heaven-grade treasure. Is like a dream item. Wu Yuding thought for a long time and looked up at Sui Chonglu. Her meaning was obviously, "What else do you want to add? Did I miss anything? Can you check and fill in the gaps?" Sui Chonglu sighed. Even though his bearing and self-restraint had reached the peak, he still couldn't help but roll his eyes at this moment. "These things you have prepared. I feel that it is enough for me to pass the tribulation." "Bullshit," Wu Yuding scolded. Then she suddenly took out a pile of small bottles as if she just remembered something. "If you are a little weak and your spiritual qi and vital essence can't keep up, break one and throw it into your mouth. In addition, don't use the stone in your hand that can recover quickly. Only use it at the most critical moment. Don't use it if you can, understand?" "Mom, how do you know about that thing?" Haha. After finishing the arrangement, Wu Yuding still frowned and thought for a long time. After confirming that there were no omissions, she said, "Have you thought of a place to break through? Where are you most confident?" Sui Xiao Duo said tentatively, "If you want a more special place that makes me feel more secure. I want to break through on the cliff where Mr. Qin fell last time. That place is very special and strange, but it makes me feel very relieved." Wu Yuding said flatly, "No. Which place is not good?" Sui Xiao Duo opened his eyes wide. "Why?" Wu Yuding was speechless for a moment. Then she said, "I think that place is too remote. Your breakthrough this time needs the right time, the right place, the right people and the right luck. We have a lot of people, but the right luck is a little lacking." She thought for a moment and said, "How about breaking through in the sky above Shangjing City?" "Well, the qi of the 9 and 5 in the human world above the imperial palace is enough to offset part of the heavenly tribulation." Sui Chonglu was speechless. The direct result of that is that a lot of the imperial family's luck will be consumed. There are few people in the imperial family who lack luck. They will be exhausted because of the decline of their luck and die prematurely. Well, more than half of the imperial family will be overturned in this place. Wu Yuding rolled her eyes and murmured, "It doesn't matter. Right?" Sui Zhonglu pondered for a moment. Then he said, "It's possible to make a breakthrough on that cliff. After all, it's a dangerous place. So, you can get the geographical advantage. Moreover, you can also get the reverse nurturing from the dead." Wu Yuding was unhappy. According to her idea, it was best to break through in the imperial palace. The emperor's qi of the past dynasties, the real dragon's qi of the human world, the emperor's qi of the 9 and 5, plus the qi of the Yenwu country and the collective qi of the astral souls continent, would be used to break through the heavenly tribulation. This was the best choice. Although after the event the heavenly tribulation would be settled, and the qi of the heavenly tribulation would be greatly weakened, it was very likely that it would cause a lot of casualties in the imperial family. It was also possible that they would not have any descendants. However, these were not in Wu Yuding's consideration. In her opinion, the imperial family. Perhaps Sui Xiao Duo was right about her mother's judgment. The daughter of the demon lord was, of course, the great demon lord. However, under Sui Chonglu's persuasion she finally gave up this seemingly perfect plan. The location was confirmed. Then the rest would be easy to discuss. Mom, Li Chenglong and the others want to observe my breakthrough. Sui Duo said, what do you think? No. Sui Chonglu, Wu Yuding and Bai Yun Duo said in unison. Do you think they're watching a show? They actually want to form a group to observe your breakthrough? Wu Yuding pointed a finger at Sui Xiaoduo's forehead, causing him to stagger. Then she felt that it was too easy to do so, so she bent her finger and flicked his forehead. There was a thump. The process of your breakthrough is destined to be different from everyone else's. Sui Chonglu said, what's more, after watching your breakthrough, it's very likely that they will lose their confidence in safely breaking through to the Ascension realm. Wu Yuding nodded and sighed in her heart. Although breaking through to the Ascension realm was crossing the true boundary between immortal and mortal, and was destined to usher in the so-called heavenly tribulation. If an ordinary person broke through to the Ascension realm, it would just be a baptism of heavenly refinement, heavenly punishment, and heavenly refinement. However, Sui Xiaoduo's breakthrough this time was a true heavenly tribulation. Moreover, it was the Dragon Han tribulation. The so-called Dragon Han tribulation was the second great tribulation between heaven and earth. It was also the first great tribulation after the first judgment of heaven and earth. The danger was looking at Sui Xiaoduo, who still didn't know anything but had a look of anticipation and even eagerness to try. Wu Yuding sighed. However, she couldn't help but feel flustered and exasperated. She pointed a finger at his forehead. This child, can't you stop making me worry? Who would have thought that this kid would walk step by step, and even surpass the heavenly Tao? Sui Xiaonian was the bearer of the Phoenix bloodline. Sui Chonglu and his wife already knew about this when they first picked up Sui Xiaonian. However, even Sui Chonglu and his wife didn't expect that their biological son would actually have the life chart of the hidden dragon. Chapter 1168. Furthermore, Sui Xiaoduo was extremely protective of his wife. He took on the Phoenix Pulse spirit all by himself. The most direct result of this was that their destinies were completely intertwined. After a series of coincidences, the Dragon Phoenix tribulation was formed. Who do you think you can find to reason with? Thinking about Sui Xiaoduo's journey, he was a young dragon in hibernation, then a hidden dragon was born. After that, he worshipped the flood, which is his godfather. He had the best destiny of the Umno Alliance and the Astral Souls. If the Astral Souls and the Tao League were included, then the destiny of the three sides converged on one person. His first battle after leaving the mountain was against the heavenly Tao of the demon race's killing wolf Star Lord. Then he walked step by step, picking up all kinds of treasures of the heavenly Tao's destiny. Now that he had come to Shangjing, he was actually guided by the Wang family's conspiracy. A conspiracy led by the Big Dipper and the Big Dipper, which led to the heavenly Tao's counterattack. Perhaps that was not all. Because this kid had been tainted by spiritual and demonic luck. This result and the current situation made Sui Zhonglu feel that it was extremely troublesome. In my life, I've become the world's number one, the pinnacle of this world, but I've never enjoyed such treatment. This kid is so young. Sui Chonglu sighed in his heart. For a moment he did not know what to say. If his guess was correct, the thing that had been troubling Sui Xiaoduo's aptitude since childhood and could help him soar to the sky should be the creation plate. If he added the destiny of that thing and its ability to carry destiny, the future might be. Sui Chonglu felt his heart beating faster and faster. Even though he could be called the world's number one, he had no confidence in protecting Sui Xiaoduo safely through this Dragon Han tribulation. Because at the most critical moment he still had to rely on Sui Xiaoduo to face it himself. At that time, if he intervened, the heavenly tribulation would only increase its power by 10,000 times. Sui Xiaoduo would be killed by his own father. Sui Xiaoduo didn't know about the sadness in his parents' hearts. He only saw that his parents were very happy for him and were very concerned about him. There were even some who personally stood guard for him. What's more, when Yen Cat broke through, there wasn't even a gust of wind, let alone thunder. This so-called breakthrough was no different from the breakthrough of other cultivation realms. There was no difference at all. Although Wu Yuding had reminded him repeatedly, and Sui Xiaoduo had also repeatedly promised that he would pay attention and be careful. But in reality he really didn't take it to heart. With his current equipment, Sui Xiaoduo felt that he could definitely fight his way up MT Sorcerer. Looking at my parents' physiognomy, It was clear that they didn't have the tragedy of losing a child in their middle age. That meant that not only would I be fine this time, I would also be fine in the future. Then he looked at Nyan Cat's face. There was no sign of her being a widow at all. This proved again and again that Xiao Duo was very safe. After thinking about it for a while, he felt that everything was foolproof. While he was feeling refreshed, he suddenly remembered something and said, "Dad, Mom, I forgot to tell you a piece of good news." "What good news?" Changlu couldn't help but be curious. "Well, it's Nyan Cat. She has found another goddaughter for you." "Hee, isn't it great news?" Xiao Duo attentively massaged Wu Yuding's shoulders, and Xiaonian attentively massaged Changlu's legs. This was the way the two of them fawned on their parents, and it worked every time. Changlu shook his neck and Wu Yuding shook her legs. "Who is it?" "That person, Emo Shuani. It's like this." Xiao Duo said, "That Yu clan is too much. They actually look down on people. Such an old-fashioned clan is actually the first in Shangjing. So Bai Yun Duo covered her face with her hands. The Yu clan was doomed this time. They would probably be skinned alive by Yu Dongtian one by one. Who would be able to withstand such unwarranted attention? Sure enough, Changlu was furious and shouted, "How did the Yu clan become like this? Tonight ask your godsister to come and kowtow and then confirm it. Then spread my words. I am not satisfied with this marriage. The Yu clan is too lowly. How can they be worthy of our daughter?" "Master." Bai Yun Duo knelt down with a thud. "It's not easy for Brother Yu. This matter has nothing to do with Brother Yu. If you don't teach them a lesson, the younger generation of the Yu clan may become like the Wang clan." Changlu said, "And Yun Duo, the Bai clan that you came from, should also be taught a lesson. We have been fighting for our entire lives, not to let our families ride on everyone else's heads and do whatever they want. If that was all, it would have been enough. These younger generation bastards are all spoiled. Where is the decency? Let's start with the Yu clan." Bai Yun Duo, who had invited trouble, bowed and accepted the lesson with a face full of sympathy. The sympathy was for Yu Dongtian. "Brother Yu, I have done my best. Good luck to you." That night, in Xiaonian's courtyard, the Zhou clan held a long-awaited family banquet. This banquet was naturally held to witness the meeting between Zhou Xiaonian and Emo Shuani and Jinlan, as well as the parents of the two clans. This news was not important to Shangjing. Only a few people knew about it. However, Yu Xia, who had been shamelessly following Emo Shuani, naturally knew about it. He went home in the afternoon. Emo Shuani had to bring her parents to the Zhou clan's courtyard, so she definitely had no time at night. Moreover, she had to tidy herself up in the afternoon, so she naturally had no time to deal with the little fatty. After leaving Emo Shuani's side, the little fatty felt very bored. He did not want to go anywhere else, so he returned to the clan unhappily. When he returned home, he was surprised to find that the old ancestors were all there. None of them had gone to sleep. Since he did that thing yesterday, it seemed that the old ancestors were all free. Every time he came back, he would see the old men walking around with their hands behind their backs. No matter how he tried to hide, he would always bump into them. "Hey, how is your partner?" The adventurer felt that all of them had gone crazy, hadn't they? "You were so against it before, but now it's as if you're afraid that I can't catch up to her. I really don't understand this change." However, in terms of personal experience, this treatment was much better than the treatment he received before. Since he entered the clan, 7 old men had already asked him, "Hey, little fatty, how is your partner?" They all pretended to meet him by chance with a "what a coincidence" look on their faces. The questions that came out of their mouths were similar, and it did not seem like a coincidence at all. At most, there were some slight differences in their choice of words. At first, Yu Xia was flattered, but gradually he felt that something was wrong. In the end, that feeling turned into shock. Because in front of him, there were dozens of old men walking around with their hands behind their backs. It was obvious that they were all waiting to bump into him. What's going on here? What details did I miss? Yu Xia's head was about to explode from thinking, but he was still at a loss. Finally, an old man seemed to have accidentally noticed the ranger and asked the same question in a similar and natural manner. "What's wrong with you?" "What the hell? How's your girlfriend?" Yu Xia's teeth hurt. "You're all like repeating machines. What are you trying to do?" However, the identity of the person in front of him was very different. He could only suppress his anger and say helplessly, It's okay. It's okay, it's not okay. This old man was Yu Xia's grandfather, a biological grandfather. Naturally, he had more privileges than the other elders. He ordered straightforwardly, "Don't go. Tell me the situation before you go." Upon hearing that, people came out of the garden, the nursery, the pool, the rockery, the corridor, the front door, the hall. A group of old men walked out one by one, pretending to have nothing to do. In short, Hero Yu's surroundings were filled with people in an instant. He did not even have to find an excuse for being late. "Hey, why are there so many people gathered here? What are you all doing? Is there any big news?" Thus, he naturally leaned over and stared at the ranger without blinking. It was clear that the ancestors were very concerned about the marriage of this young man in front of them. "Tell me, what's the progress now?" Yu Xia's grandfather took advantage of his seniority and used his identity as Yu Xia's biological grandfather to grab Yu Xia and interrogate him. "Still the same, Grandpa." "What's still the same?" "It's just that it's still lukewarm." Sigh. "How can it be lukewarm? Why don't you take the initiative?" "If I don't take the initiative in my pursuit, I really don't know what is. But the atmosphere between us is lukewarm." Yu Xia sighed. "Grandpa, can you just leave it alone? It's not easy for me to get into a relationship. There are hundreds of old men following behind me. What is this? Evil creature. We're just concerned about you. What's wrong with asking?" "That's right. This old man will pass away in a few years. What's wrong with asking?" "That's right. This old man is already so old. All I want is to look at shrimps and find a wife." For a moment Yu Xia only felt powerless to complain. He could not explain himself clearly. It was hard to explain. "You guys have been like this for hundreds and thousands of years. Even now you're still alive and kicking. I reckon that after hundreds and thousands of years, even I will be gone. You'll still be alive and kicking. You'll still have to talk to your descendants like this. To think that you have the guts to say such things now. What's the situation? Hurry up and tell us. We're all experienced people. We can help you out." Thus, after Yu Xia spoke for a while, the old men all blew their beards and glared at him. "How can you talk about love like this? Are you stupid? You're so stupid. You're so stupid. You should be like this. Then kiss when it's time to kiss, touch when it's time to. Why are you so honest?" Chapter 1169. The old men surrounded Wandering Hero and lectured him. You have the face to call yourself a member of the Yu family and the future head of the family. You don't even know how to date. It's not a problem of whether you know how to date or not. This problem of yours would have been solved by a scumbag. You're not bad either. How can you lose to a scumbag? Ba, what are you talking about? What if you really become a scumbag? Don't use your youth to teach little shrimps the wrong things. That's right. Then the group of old men began to talk about their history of picking up girls in the past, hoping that one sentence would give Wandering Hero some experience. They talked until their saliva was flying everywhere. Wandering Hero's face was ashen, as if his parents had died. Oh my God, save me. How can I have the face to talk about picking up girls with a group of old ancestors here? The group of old men talked until their saliva was flying everywhere, their faces full of disappointment. They wished that Wandering Hero could carry Emotion back right now. Riding the phoenix and riding the dragon, crossing the sea but not the water, doing that in the rain and mountains. Wandering Hero became more and more confused, as if he had fallen into a fog. He didn't understand what was going on at all. Right, you haven't done anything yet and you haven't even gotten a wife yet. Why are you back so early? Your attitude isn't right. Wandering Hero's grandfather said discontentedly, "What time is it? It's not even dark yet. Why are you back so early? Logically speaking, it's already dark. You shouldn't be back. But you're already home." The other old men suddenly realized, yes, is this how you act when you're in love? Where's your tough attitude from before? Where's your tenacity? Where's your stubbornness? What a disgrace. Who pursues girls like this? Isn't it all about being lovey-dovey under the moonlight? You're back so early, what about the moonlight? Let me ask you, what about the moonlight? The old men were angry. They felt that Wandering Hero was too careless. How can you be so careless when chasing girls? Shouldn't chasing a girl be that? The ranger was dumbfounded. "I didn't have a choice. Xianyi has something to do tonight. His parents are coming back tonight and they called to have dinner together. The Zhua family is preparing a family feast and Xianyi has to prepare gifts and dress up for the feast, so she sent me back. What else can I do other than come back early? Zhua's parents are back. In an instant the group of old men was dumbfounded. Shall the two families meet tonight and kowtow to confirm their relationship? Family dinner tonight. Zhua family's banquet. The legendary family banquet. The group of old men could not help but hold their breaths. In an instant, the entire courtyard was so silent that one could hear a pin drop. The sudden silence made little hero Yu feel suffocated. He looked around in panic. What's going on? Why did they suddenly stop moving? Furthermore, what was going on with their faces that looked like they were in a pilgrimage? After a long time. Grandpa. Little Shrimp called out timidly. T. The few old men came back to their senses with their teeth chattering. They looked at each other in dismay, but they all felt as if a century had passed just now. Family dinner. The oldest ancestor had a look of fascination on his face. His eyes were filled with longing, so much so that they were practically glowing. It was a kind of, if I could attend this family dinner, I would be willing to sacrifice the rest of my life. The old men smacked their lips as they fantasized. After a long time. Finally, one of the old men regained his senses. That's not right, Little Shrimp. Logically speaking, you should be able to attend this family dinner. Didn't Emo Xianyi invite you? The ranger scratched his head and said, she invited me to go with her, but I felt that it would be awkward for me to be there at such a time. I didn't know what identity I should use, so I refused. Then Xianyi chased me away. Refused. Rejected. Him. Refused. For a moment, the old men felt like there were flocks of crows above their heads, cawing as they flew past. In an instant. Pft. One of the old men fell to the ground, his limbs spasming. Why you? The old ancestor pointed a finger at little hero Yu's face, trembling. Why, you're really something. You're probably the only person in the world who can refuse this family dinner. You're the first. You've unlocked a new achievement. You've really created history. This achievement is not only unprecedented, it's also unheard of. You're really unyielding. Why, you're really little hero Yu. Why can't I understand why this is happening? Are they all crazy? Hurry up and call them. Call them now. Tell them that you came back to prepare a gift. You still have to go with her. Little hero Yu's grandfather urged. That's not good. Little hero Yu was unwilling. Hurry up. The old man was furious. Hurry up. How can you be so assured to let Xianyi go alone? She doesn't come from a big family. What if she's rude? This is the reunion dinner. It's such an important occasion. You're raised by our family. You should know more about these things than Xianyi, right? The old men immediately came up with countless excuses. Besides, as Xianyi's boyfriend, shouldn't you let your adoptive parents check on you? How can you run away at such an important time? What's the difference between you and a deserter? You're a disgrace to our Yu family, you deserter. Little hero Yu gradually felt that he had committed a terrible crime. As the saying goes, when you're condemned by thousands, you're guilty even if you're not guilty. This was probably the atmosphere, this feeling. So he called Emo Xianyi. Emo Xianyi didn't say anything. He only said, I'll wait for you. And so. In a few seconds, the old men had already prepared countless gifts for little hero Yu to bring them all. Little hero Yu clearly remembered a few of them. They were clearly heirlooms of the Yu family. In the past, if he had wanted to take a look at them, he would have been beaten to a pulp. But now he had stuffed all of them into his spatial ring. However, the truth was even more excessive than the wandering hero had imagined. The top 10 treasures in the entire Yu family's treasure trove were all given to the wandering hero. Little hero Yu, who didn't know what was going on, was dumbfounded. He never thought that as the young master of the Yu family, there would be a day when he would be knocked out by treasures. But today he was completely bewitched. Under the constant urging, little fatty Yu walked out of the house in a daze. His feet didn't feel like he was walking on clouds. His mind was a mess. Fortunately, there were still some conscious Yu family guards who brought him to Emo Xianyi's house. They arrived at their destination in less than 2 minutes. Little hero Yu was still in a daze. How did you get here so quickly? Emo Xianyi was shocked. He felt like little hero Yu had appeared right after he hung up the phone. He didn't even have time to go to the toilet. If he didn't know about this guy's lazy personality, he would have thought that this guy's cultivation had improved greatly. He could actually tear through space and come here directly. I'm here to accompany you. I'll accompany you to the family feast. Little hero, you said dizzily. Emoshwani felt that this guy was a little crazy, but he didn't think too much about it. After changing a few clothes, he helped his parents dress up. Finally, the family of 3 stood in front of the mirror and looked at themselves. Little hero, you gave him some advice. Is this okay? Little hero, you was in a daze. Yes. 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 In fact, his eyes were still dazed and he couldn't see anything. Then let's go. Let's go. Why don't you turn around? What's wrong with you today? Emoshwani looked at little hero, you strangely. How did this guy become an idiot? How could he have such a boyfriend? Oh. Little hero, you turned around in a daze and suddenly rushed to the faucet. He turned on the faucet and poured cold water on his head. I feel like I've been dreaming for the past 2 days. Everything is so unreal. Everything is so mysterious or even magical. Emoshwani. It was already half an hour later when they really left the house. Under the protection of the guards, the group of people left the house in high spirits but also a little nervous. Emoshwani knew that Zhuoxiaoduo and Zhuoxiaonian were actually from ordinary families in Phoenix City. She knew this very well. Therefore, she felt that as long as she was respectful and acted normal, it would be enough. She was going to meet her adopted sister's parents, not her boyfriend's parents. For Emoshwani, the pressure was much less. It was close to being negligible. At this time, little hero Yu's mind was finally clear. He began to think about the cause and effect. After he finally succeeded in making himself dizzy again, he arrived at the small courtyard where Zhuoxiaonian lived. Knock, knock, knock. He knocked on the door. Zhuoxiaoduo personally opened the door and welcomed Emoshwani and her family in. After they entered, they saw that everyone was in a happy mood. Many people were gathered in one place. It could be said that this was the largest number of people since Zhuoxiaonian's new residence was completed. Other than Zhuoxiaoduo's family and Bai Yun Duo, Li Chenglong and the rest of the 12 people were all sitting upright and still. They looked honest and well-behaved with a serious face and were dressed neatly. At first glance, it was obvious that they were a group of very sensible and well-behaved children. These people all went to the Liu family in the afternoon. Why did Principal Yuanyue give them such a big gift? Especially Yu Moyan, who almost emptied his family's savings. However, when he touched the jade pendant hanging around his neck, he felt a little guilty. He felt that what he did was far from enough. Chapter 1170. Emoshwani's family filed in. Wu Yuding and Zhuochonglu welcomed them with a smile, while Bai Yun Duo and Zhuoxiaonian followed by their sides. Is this Shwani? This child is so beautiful. Is this brother Mu? And sister-in-law? Come sit in the room. Emoshwani's family had an inexplicable feeling. The man and woman in front of them had a graceful bearing, and they exuded a sense of closeness from the inside out. There was not the slightest bit of arrogance to speak of, and it was a peaceful feeling that came from the bottom of their hearts. A feeling of goodwill that came from the bottom of their hearts suddenly surged up. After exchanging a few words with each other, it was as if they were brothers who had been separated from each other for 80 years in the chaos of war. Zhuoxiaonglu and Wu Yuding were the top powerhouses of this era. While they were comprehending the mortal dust incarnation, they were able to restrain their imposing manner and become indifferent. They were no different from father and mother Zhuo, who were ordinary people in Phoenix City in the past. They were completely different from the so-called amiable and approachable people of the upper echelons. They were truly ordinary people. With their countless years of experience in the world, the Mu couple instantly felt as if the people in front of them were their own brothers. After their daughter returned, Mu Tsongjun and his wife changed their daughter's name to Mu Shwani. For the sake of familiarity in the book, I still used Emoshwani. Then, without any superfluous words, under the witness of everyone, Emoshwani and Zhuoxiaonian kowtowed to their parents. The 2 sisters gave each other gifts and the 2 parents gave their adopted daughters gifts. After a very simple process, the ceremony was completed. After that, Zhuoxiaoduo, Li Chenglong, and the others gave their gifts to congratulate the 2 sisters on becoming sworn sisters. The whole process was simple, but it did not lose its grandeur. It was simple and there were no complications. It made people feel that everything was so logical and natural as flowing water and floating clouds. Then everyone went to the hall and sat around a large table. Everyone took their seats. The food had already been prepared and they just had to take it out from their spatial rings. For jugs of wine were opened at the same time, and the aroma of the wine filled the air. The 4 elders sat at the top. Bai Yun Duo accompanied by Wu Yuding, Zhou Xiaonian and Mo Xuani sat below them, and then Zhou Xiao Duo and his brothers sat in 4 rows. Let the family feast begin. Today is an authentic family feast, everyone. Enjoy yourselves, there's no need to be restrained, ha ha. Zhou Chenglu seemed very happy. Mo's parents were even happier. Mu even felt a little emotional. The Zhou couple's foundation had been destroyed and they were already crippled. According to his daughter, although the Zhou couple were ordinary people, their son and daughter were not ordinary. They were outstanding talents of the younger generation. If his daughter could become friends with them, she would naturally benefit a lot in the future. Strictly speaking, this oath of brotherhood was still a social climb for the family. However, the Zhou couple was extremely amiable and sincere towards the two of them. It made the two of them feel as if they were bathed in the spring breeze. They couldn't help but speak a lot of heartfelt words. When they spoke emotionally, tears streamed down their faces. Wu Yuding let out a long sigh. This was really the most pitiful thing in the world. Until they sat down. Yu Xian, who had been frozen for a long time, woke up from his daze. Why did I do nothing from the beginning to the end? No one stopped me, but why didn't I find a chance to show my face from the beginning to the end? I didn't have a chance to speak, I didn't have a chance to go forward, I didn't have a chance to give gifts, I didn't have a chance to give my blessings to what's going on? I'm not that stupid of a person. It wasn't until everyone picked up their chopsticks and ate a few mouthfuls that Yu Xian realized he had become an invisible person. Is my sense of existence that insignificant? How can this be? So he quickly put on a smile and said, Xian Yiswa. Uncle, Auntie. Zhou Chenglu frowned slightly and looked at Yu Xian. He was a little hesitant and puzzled as he asked, This young man is. Wu Yuding also frowned. I've never seen him before. Mo Xianyi's parents smiled and said, This is Xianyi's. Well, he's her boyfriend. Xiaoyu is a good young man. He's very hardworking and his family background is not bad. Zhou Chenglu's expression immediately turned better and he smiled, so he's Xianyi's boyfriend. Mo Xianyi didn't know why, but she raised her head and said, He's not yet. As soon as she said that, she was stunned. Why did I say that? Zhou Chenglu smiled and said amiably, Sit down, young man. He turned to Mu Songjun and his wife and said, Well, brothers of the Mu family, we're a family now. I'm a few years older than you and I've experienced more things. I don't know if I should say something. Brothers, well, you're too polite. We're a family. If there's anything you shouldn't say, just say it. Yes, Brother Zhou is Xianyi's adoptive father. If you have any opinions about her, just say it. She's your daughter. Zhou Zhonglu chuckled and said, Come to think of it, it's not easy for parents like us. You see, we've raised such a little thing from a little meatball that didn't know anything. But we've raised it all the way to this day. What can we not worry about? Zai. Wu Yuding said, Do you still remember these 2 little debt collectors? When they were young, they didn't know anything. It was me who raised them. Pfft. Li Chenglong almost choked on his wine. The dozen or so people gave Zhou Xiao Duo a thumbs up at the same time. The food was really good. But when Mo Xianyi's parents heard this, they felt very sympathetic. This topic had always been a common topic for all parents. Suddenly, the conversation became more and more emotional. Now that the child has grown up, we're old. Zhou Chenglu sighed. But I'm starting to worry about their marriage. I'm afraid that they'll meet the wrong person, that they'll be bullied, that they'll be let down, that they'll. It's really worrying my heart. In the past, I heard that when a child was 100 years old, he would worry for 99 years. I thought it was just an exaggeration. Now that it's happening to me, it's the most realistic portrayal. Mo Xianyi's father's hand trembled. He picked up the wine and drank it in one gulp. His eyes were red. Brother Zhou, you've really said what's in my heart. Tell me, as parents, when can we stop worrying? Zhou Zhonglu let out a long sigh. His gaze was fixed on the wine in his cup as he softly said from the bottom of his heart. Perhaps we will have to wait until the day we close our eyes. And then we won't have to worry anymore. As soon as he said this, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly became solemn. Immediately, the four elders let out a soft sigh and drank their wine in one gulp. The others also had their own thoughts. They lamented that they couldn't be filial in front of their parents. It was really unfilial. Compared to the two of you, the two of us can be said to have less to worry about. Zhuchanglu smiled and said, Xiaonian, this girl was brought back from outside. It was raining at the time and the girl in the swaddling clothes was like a wet kitten. She was just 1 month old. Wu Yuding smiled and said, who would have thought that the wet kitten from back then would grow up to become a great beauty and even mesmerized my son. Such a good daughter was actually taken advantage of by that stinky brat of mine. Zhu Xiaonian's eyes turned red. She was grateful and shy. She stomped her feet and twisted her waist as she pouted and said, Mom. Zhuchanglu also looked at his daughter dotingly and said, but now I, Zhuchanglu, not only have a son and a daughter but also a good son-in-law. It's one less thing to worry about. Emo Xuani's parents were very envious. Looking at the pair of children, they were like pearls in the dew. Moreover, they were childhood sweethearts, grew up together and knew each other very well. Wasn't that a good son and a good son-in-law? Their future happiness was already foreseeable. This situation was indeed very satisfying for the parents. They couldn't be more relieved. As a human being, when he thought about himself, he couldn't help but think about his own worries. The difference in status between Xuani and the young master of the Yu family seemed to be too big. What would happen if they spent the rest of their lives together in the future? The moment he thought of this, he couldn't help but feel 100 knots of worry in his heart. After a while they said sincerely, I'm so envious of the two of you. Wu Yuding smiled and said, I think Xuani's. This chubby boy looks quite mature. Emo Xuani's mother didn't know why, but she suddenly felt uncomfortable. She couldn't help but hold Wu Yuding's hand and said helplessly, Sister-in-law, you don't know. This child is a good child, but his family doesn't match ours. His parents aren't very satisfied with our family. Wu Yuding frowned and said, what kind of family is this? How dare they be dissatisfied with our family? This child is from the prestigious Yu family in Shangjing. It's the family that Heavenly King Yu came from. How can we, as commoners, be worthy of them? Bai Yunduo, who was standing at the side, watched as the topic went smoothly under the guidance of her master and mistress. She subconsciously held her forehead with her hand and hurriedly ate a mouthful of food to calm herself down. Brother Yu, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that your family's prejudice is too serious and too outdated. Plus, you've been arrogant for too many years. I really don't have any intention of gloating. The family that Heavenly King Yu came from. Zhuchanglu said thoughtfully. Then it's indeed a little different from our family. Isn't that so? Wu Yuding pursed her lips. That's right. I thought it was some big family with great ambitions. So it's the Yu family. Zhuchanglu frowned and said, how can such a small family be worthy of our daughter? And he's so insensible. Wu Yuding said. In-law, sister-in-law, you really have to think about this carefully. This child is a good child, but his family is too lowly. His taste is really bad. This concerns the child's marriage. You have to think about it carefully. You can't be bewitched with flowery words, Wu Yuding said gracefully. Sheni is so smart. She's like a fairy who has turned into a human being. How can she be betrothed to a poor family like the Yu clan? The two of you, your standards for choosing a son-in-law are too low, Wu Yuding said. Why don't we just forget about this marriage? Zhuchanglu made the final decision. Chapter 1171. Then let's forget about it. Wu Yuding said. Leave Xuani's marriage to me in the future. I'll definitely choose someone better than the Yu family. With just a few words they let it go. Emo Xuani was truly surprised by this change. She wanted to object but found herself unable to say anything. Emo Xuani's parents felt the same. They deeply felt that the Zhu couple's words made a lot of sense. Right, how could a small family like the Yu family be worthy of their daughter? Although they vaguely felt that it was wrong of them to think this way, they still followed this train of thought. If there were any sensible people here, they would naturally be shocked. Even if one's words were to enter one's heart and soul, it would at most be like this, right? With just a few words, everyone's thoughts followed suit. The wandering hero was dumbfounded. How did he just come here for a meal and he had only eaten a few mouthfuls? And his wife was gone just like that. Where did this come from? How did things come to this point? Furthermore, he felt that what the other party said made a lot of sense. Everything was so logical and logical. It made too much sense. No, this was not right. The wandering hero mustered all his strength and stood up. He said in a low voice, Uncle Auntie, why are you saying this? Our family. Don't talk about family. Choosing a partner is not the same as choosing a family. Besides, the Yu family is too low in our eyes. No matter what, it will affect our score. Wu Yuding comforted him. Little fatty, Auntie can see that you're a good child. However, don't always think about climbing up the social ladder. It's not good for you. The wandering hero. You should be more practical. There are some people you can't climb up to. Zhou Chonglu said. Zhou Xiaoduo and Zhou Xiaonian tried their best to hold back their laughter. They were so hard that their stomachs hurt. Li Chenglong and the others were puzzled. They did not know what was going on. Was the Yu family low? Weren't they the #1 family in Shangjing? In fact, they might even be the first clan of astral souls. After all, the Yu clan did not only have Yu Dongtian Heavenly King Yu, but also the star-plucking monarch. No matter how one looked at it, it couldn't be said to be low. But why did Father Zhua and Mother's was words sound so natural and reasonable? What's going on? Wasn't this too strange? The ranger was at a loss, confused and dumbfounded. He suddenly felt that his family was too small, too lowly, too insignificant. Based on the serial impact of these ideas, his outlook on life, values, and worldview had suffered a devastating blow. Immediately, he felt a subtle sense of inferiority. He stood up with his head drooped and muttered, Then go back. Go back, child. There are plenty of fish in the sea. There's no need to fall in love with a single flower. Not everyone can covet a flower on a high mountain. The ranger stood up in a daze. His face was full of disappointment. He didn't even know why he walked out of the house. Emo Shuani's heart ached. He wanted to chase after him, but he found that he couldn't move at all. At the table, everyone was still laughing and drinking. It was a lively scene. For a moment, he was in a daze. He pulled on Zhou Xiaonian and asked nervously, Sister, what happened just now? No, did something happen? Zhou Xiaonian widened her eyes in surprise. Emo Shuani frowned and pondered. He felt that he had overlooked something important, but he couldn't remember what it was. Bai Yunduo couldn't bear to see him like this. She sent a telepathic message to Wu Yuding. Master, don't you think you've gone a little overboard? Overboard? Wu Yuding glared at her. It's the Yu clan that has gone overboard. When did we go overboard? Did we say anything that wasn't the truth? Are we even going overboard when we say the truth now? Originally, Xian Yi was just the daughter of an ordinary family. They were very unwilling and pretentious. Now that they heard that she was our adopted daughter, they changed their attitude and came to flatter us. They even wanted to win the beauty's hand without us knowing and make it a de facto marriage. How despicable. Little fatty shouldn't have such thoughts. He's sincere to Miss Xian Yi. Didn't you hear what the Yu clan was doing just now? They were egging him on, and a bunch of old farts were teaching him how to pick up girls. This kind of thing. It's really disgusting. If our family's daughter can be coaxed so easily, where will your grandmaster's face go? These people in the Yu clan are too bold. This matter isn't over yet. If we don't teach Yu Xingqian and Yu Dongtian a lesson, this matter won't end. Wu Yuding said domineeringly. Zhou Chonglu also said calmly through telepathy, the Yu clan's customs have become so stale. There has to be a change. This is also on account of our friendship. If we can't change it soon, this marriage won't be going through. Bai Yunduo coughed. She felt that she couldn't sit still anymore. She stood up and said, Master Grandmaster, I'll go out to make a call. Wu Yuding rolled her eyes. Sit down. Bai Yunduo sat straight on the chair. What supervisor? What heavenly king? What almighty? They were all gone now. Wu Yuding thought for a while and sighed. She said telepathically, You silly girl. Why can't you see your grandmaster's true intentions? If it's really a small matter like Xian Yi's marriage, would it be worth it for us to take action? The main thing is that the current Yu clan is in a mess. If we don't clean it up, I'm afraid that the Wang clan today will become the Yu clan in the future. Your grandmaster is only doing this for the sake of little Yu and Xingqian. Do you really think that you don't care about the Yu clan anymore? Bai Yunduo was a little scared. She said, I'm just. Isn't it too unfair for Brother Xiaoyu to take the blame like this? But if he didn't always let others take the blame for him, he wouldn't have to take the blame today. Wu Yuding lectured them through telepathy. You guys are not young anymore. You're still so foolishly loyal. That's not how you talk about loyalty. That's not how you make friends. If you encounter such things in the future, you should just take action without mercy. That's what true loyalty is, because you're stopping the decline of a clan. When a person reaches a high position and reaches an old age, he will naturally understand that the unfilial behavior of his descendants is what makes a hero the most helpless. Today we discovered the signs of the decline of the Yu clan. If we don't stop it, where is the loyalty of friends? Bai Yun Duo hesitated. But I'm afraid that our relationship will be a little strained. Haha. A relationship that can be strained is not a true friend. Since we're not true friends, then let's just fall out. What do you care? Wu Yuding said lightly, this kind of thing needs to be decisive. As long as you have a clear conscience, you can misunderstand if you want to and thank me if you want to. If you're grateful to me, I'll accept it. If you fall out, I'll fall out with you. In this world, I only spoil my son. I don't spoil others. Bai Yun Duo looked at Wu Yuding with some resentment. Spoiling my son? Not spoiling my disciple? Wu Yuding rolled her eyes and could only say, all right, I'll spoil you too. Bai Yun Duo smiled contentedly. The banquet continued in a lively manner. Li Chenglong and the others quickly forgot about the strange incident. They had no recollection of it and had no idea what had happened. They only remembered that they had witnessed the oath of brotherhood between Zhui Xiaonian and Mo Xuani. That was all. The wandering hero walked out of the door in a daze. He suddenly felt that all the prosperity in this world no longer had anything to do with him. Young master, how is it? The guards who had been waiting outside naturally couldn't hear anything inside. Even if they used all their strength and stretched their ears, they still couldn't hear anything. It's over. My wife is gone. Our clan is too low class. How can we be worthy of her? We're not worthy. The wandering hero murmured. Our clan is too low class. We're not worthy? The guards could hardly believe their ears. They returned to the Yu clan. All the elders of the Yu clan were waiting for the news. Like a swarm of bees, they gathered in the hall. Seeing that the wandering hero had returned at this time, they couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Why are you back so soon? Go to the banquet? At this time. The banquet should have just started, right? So early. What's wrong? You don't look right. What's wrong? Amidst the messy interrogations, the little fatty sat on the ground and started crying. He cried until the sky darkened and the earth darkened. He couldn't breathe as he cried and spoke. The marriage is over, sob sob. Xuani's adoptive father said that our clan isn't upright. We're not worthy. He said that our clan is too low. Small clan. We're not worthy of his daughter. He also said that we don't know anything and are trying to climb the social ladder. Sob sob. All the old men were like a group of ducks that had been struck by lightning. Clan isn't upright. Not worthy. Too low. Small clan. Trying to climb the social ladder. Weren't these the words that our clan said about Mo Xuani's clan? Not only did he return all of them, he even added a few more. We are the #1 clan in the Astral Souls continent. We are the clan of the heavenly kings and emperors. How can we be considered a small clan? Low. How low? How many clans are so low in the entire continent? These words were simply incomprehensible. However, no one in the entire Yu clan dared to refute when they thought about who had made these judgments. Moreover, no one dared to stand up and curse. This is pure nonsense. All the old men were like eggplants that had been hit by frost, deflated. The little fatty's grandfather tried his best to support him. He coaxed the dispirited little fatty back to his room to rest. The others gathered in the secret meeting room. The minister has spoken such words. It seems that the senior minister already knows about the previous matter. This is clearly a warning to our Yu clan. Sigh. This is bad. This is really bad. Chapter 1172. Which one of the people present wasn't a smart person? They had been tossing and turning in the sea of people all their lives. What couldn't they understand? He only needed to think about it for a moment before he completely understood the situation. No matter what, even if all the aristocratic families of the 3 continents were gathered and the Yu family was ranked first, they would at least be in the top 3. As the star-plucking monarch, the family of the heavenly king of the right, they had this confidence. This also led to the fact that the Yu clan couldn't be labeled as a small family, too low, too unpresentable, or climbing up the branches. But now such a label had appeared. Moreover, the Yu clan couldn't afford to provoke or refute this person's evaluation. On one hand, this person was speaking the truth. Even if it was a little excessive, it was still the truth. On the other hand, this person was speaking the truth based on his strength. Even if it was excessive, there was nothing you could do. You could only open your eyes wide and listen. After all, the Yu clan was in the wrong first. Sigh. The old ancestor heaved a long sigh. Then he regretfully said, Minister Chu is obviously dissatisfied with our Yu clan. If we had let nature take its course and didn't obstruct it, this wouldn't have happened. Not only would we have gained a reputation of being reasonable, but we would also have climbed up the towering tree. A man in Jianghu has no choice. A man in the imperial court is a human relationship. We don't want to break up a pair of lovebirds. But this is the way of the world. Perhaps Minister Chu is right. Our Yu clan is already stale. You tell me. Each and every one of you is pointing fingers at the marriage of the younger generation. Are you getting older and more immature? Why don't you think about when you were young? The old ancestor was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. The group of old men were being lectured submissively, but they were cursing in their hearts. Didn't everything start with you? Now you have the face to turn around and blame us. You are the root of everything, okay? But now, this matter had suddenly escalated to the point where the entire clan was in a state of panic. The minister was dissatisfied. This matter was very serious. Very serious. It was so serious that the Yu clan people in front of him couldn't deal with it. They couldn't deal with it. They didn't even dare to deal with it. This wasn't something they could deal with at their current level. What should we do now? This marriage is going to be ruined like this? Such a good thing. You're still thinking about marriage? I reckon that when this matter comes to an end, each and every one of us will be skinned alive. That's secondary. My heart aches for this marriage. Such a good marriage is gone just like that. Nothing else. Do you dare to say that you don't have it anymore? That wouldn't be a matter of peeling off a layer of skin. Do you really think that the minister wants to cancel it? This has nothing to do with the marriage. I can't even think about it, and I can't say that I don't have it. What's the follow-up? What should we do in the future? If I knew what to do in the future, would I have to be so worried? Anyway, this matter is no longer something we can deal with. The old men sighed and lamented. They were so regretful that their intestines turned purple. There was a saying that went, if you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. Now, I can only report this matter to the ancestor. This is an obvious matter. The minister has said so. So, it's obvious that he wants the old ancestor to rectify the family's style. You don't need to say that. You're smart. If you're so smart, what were you doing earlier? Finally, the old ancestor sighed. That's what the minister meant. Can you all stop talking nonsense? The family looked at each other in dismay. They were all dejected and disheartened. Who would have thought that this was a good marriage that was bestowed by the heavens? Who would have thought that they would cause so much trouble because of their actions? Then we can only let the heavenly king ancestor decide. But who will tell the heavenly king? When it came to this issue, everyone's eyes averted. They were silent for a long time. Whoever said it would be the first unlucky person. There was no doubt about this. No matter what he said, he would not be able to escape from a round of scolding. Naturally, no one would be willing to touch this bad luck. After all, it was better to be punished together than to be scolded first. Everyone should be more open-minded. The crux of the problem now is the current style of our Yu family. The minister's focus is also on this. It's not that he really looks down on our family. In this marriage, the 2 children know each other's hearts. How can the minister really break them up? The minister is only using this matter to warn our family. This point must be made clear to the old ancestor. If we take the initiative to speak, it means that we are taking the initiative to admit our mistakes. This attitude is necessary. If we don't even say it, then we are really dead. As for the follow-up of this matter, We are certainly not qualified enough. You mean to let the old ancestor go and lose face in person? I didn't say that. Then what do you mean? Everyone quarreled and pushed the blame to each other for a long time. However, this matter could not be pushed away in the end. They had to face it. They had to solve it. There had to be a follow-up. As for who would report to the Heavenly King, it was naturally everyone's wish. The old ancestor of the Yu family was currently the most qualified. Who else could it be? Countless old men turned their heads and looked at the old ancestor who had everyone's wish. The old ancestor squeezed his phone. The muscles on his face twisted. How can I have so many juniors who push their elders to death? This is simply a group of bastards. Isn't it true that the minister said the Yu family's style is not upright? It's really too improper. However, when it came to this, it had to be carried out. He immediately dialed the number that he regarded as a deity with trembling hands. His face looked as if he had lost his parents. Beep. The call went through directly. Everyone shuddered and subconsciously turned their backs. Only their ears were perked up. They listened attentively to the sound of the phone, afraid that they would miss a word or two. Everyone was a cultivation expert who had entered the Tao. They could hear the sound of the phone clearly no matter how far away they were. However, on the surface they all put on an expression that said, I can't hear anything. This matter has nothing to do with me. The voice on the phone rang. A dignified voice came over. What's the matter? This voice was dignified and solemn. It was upright and plain-spoken. It adhered to principles and was serious in speech and manner. Yes, the old ancestor, the Heavenly King of the Right, had such an image. Old ancestor. It's me, little stone. The voice of the old ancestor of the Yu family who was holding the phone was trembling. His body instinctively bent down. I'm at home now. Greetings, old ancestor. Stone. The Heavenly King's voice was very calm. There was a hint of kindness in the seriousness. Why did you suddenly think of calling me? Did something happen at home? Yes. There's something. I need you to make a decision. The Heavenly King's voice was deep and dignified. Speak. What is it? It's like this. It's about the future head of the family. It's about the important matter of Shrimp's marriage. There's a mistake. Mistake? The Heavenly King's voice was a little strange. What mistake could there be in the marriage of a descendant of the Yu family? Could it be that some descendant of a family or a descendant of the royal family rushed up to fight for his favor? The Heavenly King's voice was very calm and collected. After all, at this level, there were not many things that could not be solved in the entire 3 continents. There was no panic. The Heavenly King did not panic at all. On the other side of the phone, the Heavenly King's legs were crossed on the coffee table. The phone was between his neck and shoulder. His head was tilted and he was still holding a deck of cards in his hand. In front of him was Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang. The 3 of them were playing Fight the Landlord. Life was very interesting. Nanjing Qian's face had a little tortoise drawn on it. It was the Heavenly King's handwriting. This was naturally a coincidence. The 3 of them happened to be together. The Heavenly King came to play Fight the Landlord because he was bored. He also stipulated a fair bet. If Dongfang Xingyang lost, he would have to contribute the 5,000-year-old wine that had been passed down in his family. As a farmer, he would lose 1 jar. As a landlord, he would lose 2 jars. If there was a bomb, the bet would be doubled. If Marshal Nan lost, he would draw a tortoise. If the Heavenly King lost, he would lose 100 star dollars. It was fair and just. Under the threat of the Heavenly King, Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang finally had to accept this so-called fair bet after being beaten up by the Heavenly King. Now, Dongfang Xingyang had lost several rounds under the Heavenly King's exquisite card skills. There was nothing he could do about it. A straight of 3 4 5 6 8. And a straight of 45679.222a was a small bomb. It could control everything. When he was a farmer, he was out of cards after playing 11 of the 17 cards. No one could withstand this kind of card skills. By now he had already changed a few decks of cards. The 2 marshals were still, happily, playing cards with the Heavenly King. It seemed like they were very passionate about this sport. They were smiling on the outside but cursing on the inside. This motherfucker Yu Dongtian is not a human being. At this moment the Heavenly King picked up the phone. The 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. They looked around and exchanged glances. They were ready to leave. They had no choice but to leave. This heavenly king of the right was too shameless. Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang had 4 bombs in their hands. They even had the king bomb. This heavenly king of the right actually threw away his cards and beat them up for an entire spring. What a jerk. He wants your wine, but he also wants me to draw a tortoise. This is not something a human can do. Nan Jingqian said telepathically. Look at him. His feet are up in the air. He doesn't look like a heavenly king at all. How can there be such a shameless person in this world? Dongfang Xingyang was very angry. This guy comes to my house every day to ask for my wine. If he's not here to blackmail me, he's here to find me or to play cards like this. Instead of playing cards like this, why don't you just rob me? He's on the phone with his younger generation. Listen to his tone. What an upright and kind elder. We have to leave. The two of them exchanged glances and prepared to leave. However, the next moment their ears perked up. Fuck, there's gossip. Big gossip. Chapter 1173. The voice on the other side of the phone was full of hope. Ancestor, it's like this. Shrimp was dating a girl from a commoner family. After the family considered the pros and cons, they felt that the two of them were not suitable for each other. The difference in status was too big, so they tried to stop them a few times. But Shrimp was a sentimental person and refused to do it. But he was just a junior, how could he make the decision? Yu Dongtan said solemnly, And then, suddenly he felt sick of it. Young people falling in love. Why are you old things getting involved? I already told you not to be biased. But he still suppressed his temper and listened. What happened? And then I recently found out that the commoner's daughter is an old friend of the minister's son, Swixiao Duo, and they have a bit of a relationship. Yu Dongtian was stunned when he heard this. His eyes widened and he almost blurted out a curse. Looking at the world today, among the 3 people he was most afraid of, the first was naturally Wu Yuding, the second was his father Yu Xingqian, and the third was Swixiao Duo. Of course, Swixiao Duo was nothing. She was just a troublemaker. At most, she was quite a troublemaker. But her mother was very powerful and she was also a super protective demon. Naturally, he was afraid of her. Let's put it this way, was Swichonglu's the flood witch strong? Yu Dongtian did not put them in the top 3 people he was afraid of, so how big of a threat did Yu Dongtian have to be in the top 3? He could not help but retract his feet from the tea table. Became a love rival with the minister's son? That's not good. No. Oh. The heavenly king of the right heaved a sigh of relief. That's good, that's good. Today Mo Xian Yi, that commoner girl, and Zhui Xiaonian became sworn sisters. That's even better. Yu Dongtian was a bit smug. Didn't the Yu family and the Zhui family become in-laws? At least they were in-laws. They were even closer than before. Today, the minister and his wife held a family banquet. Family feast. Yu Dongtian couldn't help but shudder. He subconsciously touched his spatial ring. Invite Mo Xuani's family to a banquet. And officially announce that I've taken Mo Xuani as my adopted daughter. That's a good thing. You came here specifically to tell me this good news. It's worth it. Yu Dongtian's voice became more and more steady. He looked at Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang with disdain. These 2 fellows seem to be trying to slip away. That won't do. I'm having a good time winning. Then the minister said that our small family wasn't worthy of his goddaughter. What? Yu Dongtian was stunned. He couldn't help but stand up. Right at this moment, Dongfang Xingyang and Nan Jingqian, who were about to slip away, suddenly stopped. They looked at each other and sat back down excitedly. Yu Dongtian, who had just heard the bad news, was stunned. He thought for a while before coming back to his senses. He covered the phone with one hand and glared at Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang fiercely. His other hand pointed outside. His meaning was clear. Get out. Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang shook their heads in unison. We're not going out. At the same time they picked up their own cards on the table and frowned. Their meaning was clear. Aren't we playing cards with you? Could it be that we can't afford to lose? Or are you going to run away after winning? Fuck you. Yu Dongtian threw his cards on the table and glared at them as if he wanted to eat them alive. Dongfang Xingyang and Nan Jingqian moved quickly and carefully put Yu Dongtian's cards aside. They didn't want to mess up their own cards. Their meaning was clear. You continue, we'll continue playing after you're done. Yu Dongtian's breathing became heavy. These two shameless bastards, how dare they take advantage of the situation and hit him when he was down. However, the person on the other end of the phone didn't know what was going on and continued to say, "The minister said that our family is too low. Too ignorant. Our family is too small to be seen in public and we are trying in vain to climb up the social ladder. So the marriage is cancelled." "What?" Yu Dongtian shouted angrily. "What are you doing? What the hell are you guys doing?" The person on the other end of the phone was scared out of his wits. "I think the minister found out that we didn't like the other party's family background. That's why this is happening today." Yu Dongtian couldn't care less about being angry with Dongfang Xingyang and Nanjing Qian. He shouted into the phone, "The marriage of a child is about mutual consent. Why are you interfering? Aren't you the ones looking for a wife in the future? Family bias is all about family bias. Didn't you understand when you were looking for a wife? Now that you're old, you're muddle-headed? Isn't it shameful to do such a thing now? Isn't it shameful?" The person on the other end of the phone was scolded and didn't say anything for a long time. After a long time, the person on the other end said timidly, "We've discussed for a long time. It seems the minister doesn't really have the intention to cancel the marriage. But this matter, we can't say anything now." "Of course you can't say anything. What right do you have to say anything?" Yu Dongtian suddenly became furious. "You can't say anything. So you're looking for me? That's the minister. How can I say anything? The girl is the goddaughter of the minister. Even I have to avoid her. What can I say? What can I say? Go find my father. No, go find the emperor. Go find my father. He has the right to speak." Then he hung up the phone. He neatly pushed the blame to the outside. "Go find whoever you want. Anyway, I'm not going to take the blame. My father is old but strong. He can do it. You're right to find him." Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang couldn't help but admire him. He was indeed the heavenly king of the right. Even at this point he was still able to push the blame to the emperor. Speaking of which, they seemed to have heard this saying for a long time. Now at this moment such a living example appeared in front of them. It was really eye-opening. "What did you hear?" Yu Dongtian looked at the two of them fiercely. "You didn't turn on the speaker. What can we hear?" Nanjing Qian grinned and laughed happily. Dongfang Xingyang raised the card in his hand and said, "Let's continue to play landlord. We want revenge. I'll play your father. Revenge for your grandmother." Yu Dongtian was about to explode. He rolled up his sleeves and glared, ready to beat them up. "I've always been the one enjoying the show. Today I'm the one being watched." Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang were ready to go all out. Even if they were beaten to death, they had to watch this gossip from the beginning to the end. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Just as Yu Dongtian was about to clear the area, his phone rang again. He picked it up and couldn't help but shudder. He immediately answered the call. "Father." The celestial emperor called. The two of them were even more excited. The gossip had escalated. The emperor's exasperated voice could be heard from the phone. "Motherfucker. Don't you dare call me father. I don't deserve that title. You're my father. You're my living father." "Comfortable." Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang heard this and their faces were filled with satisfaction. Even if they only heard this sentence today, it was enough that even if they lost more, their lives were worth it. It was enough for them to reminisce about the rest of their lives. Yu Dongtian looked at the two of them awkwardly. He didn't dare to hang up the phone. He could only gesture with his hands and plead with his eyes. The two of them lowered their heads and pretended that they didn't see or hear anything. "Do you think you can play landlord just because you want to? Do whatever you want to do. Now that there's an embarrassing incident, you want to chase them away? There's no such good thing in the world." Just then the emperor's roar sounded like it could topple mountains and overturn seas. "You fucking dare to push the blame to me today? Ah, you're so capable. I raised you for so many years just to take the blame for you. How dare you say that? I didn't let you build a family back then because you wanted to build a you family. After you built it, you didn't care about it and pushed the blame to your son. Then you fucking pushed the blame down generation after generation. Now you realize that you can't push the blame down anymore? You're fucking pushing the blame up again. What else can you do? What else can you do? You dong and you motherfucker, you've wasted all your years." When you were young you pushed the blame to Yoon Jong-hu. When you grew up you still pushed the blame to Yoon Jong-hu. In the end you still pushed the blame to Yoon Jong-hu. In the end Yoon Jong-hu found a wife and ran away. You fucking became capable too. You started to push the blame to the whole world. Look at how Dongfang Jingyang was screwed over by you. Nan Jingqian was even blacklisted by your uncle Zhua. Push the blame everywhere, push the blame everywhere. Your reputation as the king of pushing the blame to the right has finally been extended to your own father. Now you've even started to push the blame to your own father. Who else do you want to push the blame to in the future? The word, push the blame, was created for you, right, Yu Donggun? Yu Dongtian was so embarrassed that his face darkened. He looked miserable. On the other side, Dongfang Jingyang and Nan Jingqian widened their eyes. But no wonder. I was pushed the blame to unknowingly by this guy. How did I do that? When did I do that again? Why didn't I know? You don't know what your uncles were meant? You don't know? Are you stupid? Is your brain made of tofu pudding with soy sauce? Do you need another deep-fried dough stick? Has your brain been eaten by a dog? This is obviously asking you to come out and clean up the family. What's the point of me coming out? Did I build the Yu family? Can you push the blame to me? You bastard. What has become of the Yu family? You still have the face to look at the Wang family? Let me tell you, Yu Dongtian, if you don't clean up, the Yu family will be the next Wang family. This is your uncle's was goddaughter. This is a lesson to you and also a warning to you. If she's really a commoner, wouldn't she be bullied to death by those bastards of yours? If she's really bullied to death when your uncle's was steps in, do you think you can still clean up the mess? You bastard. The emperor was obviously furious. He scolded Yu Dongtian right to his face. To be honest, if he knew this kid was like this, he would have painted the wall with his face. Chapter 1174. The heavenly king of the right felt like he had been scolded to the point where he wanted to crawl into a hole. After a long while, he heard that his father was no longer angry. He said carefully, "Father, you can't blame me for this. You know that I have no respect in front of Uncle Zhua and Auntie Zhua. I thought that you are a person of virtue and prestige. Uncle Zhua and Auntie Zhua have always respected you. So the emperor said angrily, "My prestige is my business, that's my virtue and virtue. Is it for you to clean up your mess?" However, his voice was still much gentler. The emperor was still very proud. After all, he was the only person who had the most respect in front of Zhua Changchang. No one could compare to him in this aspect. Yu Dongtian heard that there was hope and hurriedly said, "So, this matter still depends on you." "I don't care." The emperor said, "I order you. Immediately deal with this matter for me. Firstly, the marriage cannot be ruined. Secondly, your Uncle Zhua and Auntie Zhua have to calm down. Thirdly, you have to think of a way yourself. If you can't do it, don't call me father anymore. I will call you father. You are my living father." Smack. The call was cut off. There was only one word to describe Yu Dongtian's face now, as if he had lost his parents. His entire being had sunk into a daze and his bearing had changed. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's just a small matter caused by the younger generation. Heavenly King of the Right, you don't have to take it to heart. When the time comes, I will go with you to settle it. Dongfang Jingyang volunteered. "I will go too. In front of the minister I still have some respect. I will definitely help you." Nan Jingqian did not want to be left behind. Yu Dongtian snorted as he looked at the two fellows who were gloating over his misfortune and wanted to kick him when he was down. "How many years have I been? How can I not know what you two are trying to do? Help. Isn't it more of a hindrance? If I believe you two, I might as well kill myself with a piece of tofu. You two just want to watch the show and hit me when I'm down. It's just a small matter. There's no need to trouble the two of you." Yu Dongtian put on a stern face and said, "Dongfang, your army's defense is lax and their morale is low. As the commander, you cannot absolve yourself from the blame. Hurry up and organize the defense. If there are any mistakes, I will report them to the minister." Nan Jingqian, your southern army was riddled with holes in the last battle, and you still have the nerve to grin happily. Hurry up and go back to tidy up. Then he stretched out his hand. "You've lost the bet, so why aren't you giving it to me?" Dongfang Jingyang's jaw almost dropped. How could you still remember this at a time like this? As expected of the heavenly king of the right. Yu Dongtian collected his winnings and flew away. He was in a hurry and sighed all the way. Dongfang Jingyang and Nanjing Qian looked at each other. I'm going back to organize the defense. Dongfang Jingyang shook his head. I'm going back too. It's hard work. Nanjing Qian also left. Half an hour later. On the way back to Shangjing. Both of them felt that there was a fluctuation in the space. So they took a look. Nanjing Qian smiled awkwardly. What a coincidence. Yes, what a coincidence. Dongfang Jingyang was embarrassed. Together? Okay. Together. Whoosh. Yu Dongtian's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly King realm, and he could be called an outstanding talent of the Heavenly King realm. His speed was extremely fast and he tore through space to rush back. However, on the way back to the Yu family, the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. How could the Yu family have such a group of disappointing descendants? They despised the poor and loved the rich. They set up a trap to cheat the minister. All of them were actually thinking of making the marriage a reality without Uncle Zhua and Aunt Zhua knowing about it. What a bunch of bastards. I don't even dare to do that. What a bunch of idiots. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Uncle Zhua is taking advantage of the situation. It's obvious that he wants to mess with the Yu family. Just think about it. When Uncle Zhua arrives in Shangjing, as long as he wants to hear or know something, even if you hide in a secret room, you won't be able to hide it from him. Furthermore, Uncle Zhua and Auntie Zhua are wise people who have thought of thousands of things, but their ideas have come true. The adopted daughter of the Heaven Inspecting Minister has been so easily cooked by you guys. Then what will happen next? He will be furious. It's just a matter of waving his hand to wipe out a family. This kind of precedent is destined not to be set. If you guys are manipulating the girls of the higher-ups and make them in-laws, then won't the world be in chaos? I've raised a bunch of pigs. Do you think that normal worldly logic can suppress the top powerhouses of this world? Don't you know that in the bones of this world the strong are respected? Or is it true that whoever has the biggest fist is the most reasonable? Yu Dongtian's head was about to explode. Fortunately, his speed was really fast. In just a few hundred breaths he landed in the Yu family's courtyard with a soft schwa sound. Then he walked in with big strides. However, the Heavenly King looked like a young man at this time. He walked in so boldly that the Yu family's guards didn't recognize him. Seeing a stranger suddenly appear in the Yu family's courtyard, how could they not shout, "Who is it? Stop. If you dare to act rashly again, kill without mercy." Before they finished speaking, they had already rushed forward. Their swords and spears were lined up and their killing intent was soaring. Then, get lost. Everyone fell to the ground like a gourd. This was still Yu Dongtian's consideration of their duty. Otherwise, with his current mood, this group of guards would have been dead long ago. After turning the corner, a group of ancestors was already kneeling respectfully in front of the main entrance of the hall. Welcome, Grand Ancestor. Yu Dongtian raised his hand and slapped, directly sending the old man at the front spinning 17 times. He said angrily, "I am not your ancestor. You are my ancestor, living ancestor." Looking at the ancestor who was playing the role of a spinning top in midair, the Yu family members trembled like cicadas in winter. "Get in here." Yu Dongtian waved his sleeves and strode into the main hall. After a while the hall was filled with crackling sounds. "All of you get lost to the front line. All of you are idle at home. Idle until you are an ancestor. Idle until you are a vulgar person. Why do you think the Yu family has the glory in front of you? Did you guys use politics, diplomacy and those underhanded methods to trade for it? Is it because of your marriage alliance? I have been fighting for 10,000 years, and you have been enjoying the good fortune in the rear. Lying down to win a life of victory. From today onwards, all the descendants of the Yu family must rely on their own abilities. Whether it is business, politics or the army, everyone must rely on their own abilities to make a living. If anyone dares to rashly interfere with the family's relations, they will be expelled from the family immediately. From today onwards the Yu family will be sealed and retired. We will no longer participate in the so-called ranking of the great families in Shangjing, and we will not participate in all the actions of dividing the cake in Shangjing. From today onwards, all the descendants of the Yu family who have reached the nascent soul stage and above must go to the front line to gain experience and fight for no less than 3 years. Regardless of gender. Living is luck. Your future is fought for by yourself. It is your personal glory. If you die, it is your fate. You will be buried in the ancestral grave. You are worthy of being a descendant of the Yu family. From today onwards, the Yu family will no longer be involved in the political affairs of the astral souls. The door will be sealed and the entire family will go into seclusion. If I hear that the Yu clan is causing trouble outside, causing trouble, oppressing men, oppressing women, and invading other people, before I come back to deal with it personally, if it hasn't been dealt with properly, I will kill all the people in charge of it. Look at the Wang family and then look at you. Ask yourselves honestly, what difference is there between the Wang clan and the Wang clan with all the trouble you've caused? You are all proud to have a heavenly king in your family. But do you all think that you are a heavenly king? Yu Dongtian's roar was not concealed at all. It almost shook half of Shangjing. It was as deafening as thunder. Kneel. All of you kneel. Kneel in front of the ancestral tablets and reflect on yourselves. Yu Dongtian suddenly became irritated. Bah, just kneel here. I am not dead yet. What ancestral tablets do you all have? He said angrily, I have not been scolded by the emperor for more than 10,000 years. You unfilial descendants. You are my ancestors. A bunch of disgraces. If I had known that I would raise a bunch of you like this, I would have. Before his voice died away, Yu Dongtian had already left and disappeared without a trace. This matter was purely to teach his own family a lesson. It was not over yet. In fact, this was only the beginning and the easiest part to solve. On the other hand, the Zhou family's banquet was still going on. After the wandering hero left, the atmosphere suddenly changed and became more lively. Zhou Chonglu's eloquence was excellent. He controlled the situation from the beginning to the end. He did not speak too fast, but he did not speak too slowly. From beginning to end, the meal revealed a relaxed and lively atmosphere. Continuous laughter was a common occurrence, and from time to time the entire hall would roar with laughter. Everyone was enjoying themselves. Wu Yuding dissolved 2 elixirs in the wine for Mu Tsongjun and his wife. She urged them to drink and let them consume the elixirs. They naturally digested the elixirs. Everything was done quietly. Zhou Chonglu was talking to Mu Tsongjun about how it felt to be a father. The two of them laughed heartily from time to time and sometimes sighed together. No matter if it was a divine transcendence expert or an ordinary citizen, they all felt the same when it came to becoming a father. Occasionally they would tell Zhou Xiaoduo and Li Qinglong that the martial world was dangerous. They had to be careful and not think too highly of themselves. As they drank one cup after another, time passed unknowingly. However, the atmosphere was too joyous and harmonious. Everyone was reluctant to let this meal end too quickly. Only Bai Yunduo understood this in her heart. Master and mistress were waiting for someone. They wanted to prolong the banquet. If there was anyone in the Yu family who was not stupid, Yu Dongtian would definitely come tonight. After tonight, things would get out of hand. At this moment, dong dong dong. Someone knocked on the door. The sound was rhythmic, neither fast nor slow. I'll go open the door. Bai Yunduo stood up immediately. Zhou Chonglu and Wu Yuding rolled their eyes secretly. Go ahead. If you want to inform us in advance, you'll be disappointed to death. Bai Yunduo opened the door. When she saw the 2 people in front of her, she was stunned. Why are you here? Chapter 1175. Outside the door, Dongfang Xingyang and Nan Jingqian were standing in front of Bai Yunduo. Bai Yunduo was shocked. We came to Shangjing for business. We knew you were here, so we came to see you. Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang were confused. They did not expect Bai Yunduo to be here as well. Their cultivation was much weaker than Yu Dongtian. Logically speaking, it should have been impossible for them to walk in front of Yu Dongtian. However, Yu Dongtian needed to go back home to deal with some family matters. This gave them a chance. As long as they came to Zhou Chonglu, they would not miss this drama of the century. Waiting for the hare to appear by a tree stump was not necessarily a derogatory term. Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang would have run as far as they could when they heard about the Zhou family's banquet earlier. In fact, they were not the only ones. Anyone who had experienced the Zhou family's banquet would see it as a den of tigers and wolves, a forest of swords and spears. They would not be able to leave without being severely injured. However, this time the 2 of them took the initiative to come to Zhou Chonglu. Both of them made up their minds. As long as they could see the drama of the century and see Zhuo Chonglu's downfall, they would accept it even if they had to go bankrupt because of this banquet. It was Yu Dongtian's fault for being such a bully. If they missed out on this gossip, they would truly die with everlasting regret. Especially here with the support of the minister, they could watch the drama without worrying about Zhuo Chonglu's revenge. As for the future, if you dare to cause trouble in my army, I will mobilize the army to encircle you. So what if you are the heavenly king of the right? I am the general of an army. Let's see if you are willing to do it. What a coincidence. Bai Yunduo could not help but wipe the sweat off her forehead. Is boss here? Nan Jingqian stuck his head out. Come in. We are eating. Bai Yunduo sighed. Just in time. We've been hungry for a long time. Help me get 2 more pairs of chopsticks. The 2 of them didn't stand on ceremony and squeezed through the door. Bai Yunduo sincerely expressed that she had never seen Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Xingyang so bold. Today he was really bold that not only was he able to tell with a single glance that they were unwilling to leave, he even dared to order him to add 2 more pairs of chopsticks. You 2 are ordering me around? But this matter was a little strange. Yu Dongtian wouldn't go so far as to tell everyone about this, right? But how did these 2 know? He must have known about it. Otherwise, why would he deliberately come to the Zhuo family's banquet? This was really strange. As the 2 of them walked in, Li Chenglong and the others instinctively turned to look. At the entrance, 2 big men walked in valiantly and spiritedly. The 2 of them were about the same size. Both of them were about 2 meters tall. When they walked in, they were like 2 majestic mountains. Both of them were dressed casually. Even though they were wearing ties, it was difficult to hide their squarish nature. When they walked, it was as if thousands of horses and thousands of soldiers were marching at the same time. They were majestic and awe-inspiring. Not only were the others surprised, even Zhuo Chonglu and Wu Yuding were surprised. Why are you 2 here? That's because I miss you, boss. And we are on business. The 2 of them smiled honestly. Dongfang Xingyang was a little reserved and Nan Jingqian was a little embarrassed. The 2 of them scratched their heads at the same time. One of them used his left hand and the other used his right hand. Wu Yuding looked at the 2 of them with a half smile. Business? You 2 just happened to be together? Yes. What a coincidence. The 2 of them smiled at the same time. Wu Yuding rolled her eyes and said, Have you eaten? Not yet. The 2 of them said at the same time. Their words were not polite at all. If they said that they had eaten, they would be met with a, then you can leave. We haven't finished eating yet. What should they do? Wu Yuding frowned. Why haven't you eaten yet? It's already so late. Why don't you go home and eat? What if you're starving? You're a small official. Why don't you take care of yourself? Go home. This. The 2 of them looked at the table full of dishes in confusion. There are so many people and only this table full of dishes. The 2 of you are so greedy. The food we prepared is not enough to fill your stomachs. The 2 of them were stunned. Sister-in-law, you don't follow the rules, do you? We are prepared to spend the rest of our lives and go bankrupt just to freeload a meal from you. You want to send us away as soon as we see you? What kind of logic is this? Just when they were at their wits' end. On the other side, Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhuo Xiaonian cheered at the same time. Uncle Nan. It's Uncle Nan. The 2 of them did not forget that this Uncle Nan was really a good person. The most valuable gift they had ever received in their life was from Uncle Nan. To Nan Jingqian, calling him Uncle Nan was like a blessing from the heavens. Nan Jingqian smiled happily. Isn't this Xiao Duo and little Nyener? Uncle Nan hasn't seen you for a long time. Let me see, Xiao Duo is so tall and little Nyener is getting prettier. Nan Jingqian, who finally had a way out, walked over with a face full of kindness. Looking at Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhuo Xiaonian, he felt very happy. Nan Jingqian ignored Dongfang Xingyang's pleading look. As long as I can stay, I will be fine. As for you, figure it out yourself. I won't say much anyway. Or you can leave. It was better to enjoy it together than to enjoy it alone. That was nonsense. If one could enjoy such a great play of the century alone, why share it with others? Boss. Dongfang Xingyang walked in rubbing his nose. Are you eating? It smells so good. I've heard that the Zhuo family's banquet is very sumptuous. Wu Yuding said coldly, if you're not eating, what are you doing? Holding a banquet to worship the heavens? What? Do you only have eyes for your boss? Is there anyone else? Dongfang Xingyang smiled and said, Sister-in-law, you treat me like your own parents. All these years I have been thinking about how I should repay you. Look, I tried my best to get you something that you might not like. But you have to accept it for me. Please don't mind it. He took out a purple-red infinite space ring. Wu Yuding took the ring and opened it on the spot to take a look. She said, Aya, you came all the way here. Your boss and I don't lack a pair of chopsticks. Hurry and sit down. You came at the right time. Our family has a happy occasion today. You can join in the joy. Thank you, sister-in-law. Dongfang Xingyang was sweating. Especially when I saw Wu Yuding actually open the ring on the spot to check. I rejoiced in my heart. Fortunately I had prepared. Fortunately I had brought all my belongings with me. Otherwise I would have been kicked out of the house. Nan Jingqian laughed and took out the infinite space ring. Sister-in-law, you're getting more and more beautiful. Give me a pair of chopsticks too. He looked at Dongfang Xingyang as if he was looking at a lowly person. With Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhuo Xiaonian calling him Uncle Nan, Nan Jingqian felt that his status was above Dongfang Xingyang's. We're a family. You little Dongfang are an outsider. How could Dongfang Xingyang not be touched? He had already cursed Nan Jingqian's ancestors. Of course he recognized Zhuo Xiaoduo. That peerless prodigy. But he would never have thought that this kid was the son of the minister. Nan Jingqian, this bastard, actually hid such an important piece of news for so long. This son of a bitch is not human. If I had known earlier, I would rather bang my head against the wall and die if I couldn't get a warm Uncle Dongfang. I heard that Nan Jingqian liked to keep everything to himself. Now that I've seen it for myself, the rumors are true. After today I'll settle the score with you. Isn't it just trying to get close? Laozi's aura-gazing technique is the best in this generation. I heard that Zhuo Xiaoduo inherited the aura-gazing technique from the previous principal of Phoenix City's second high school, He Yuanyue. But he's still young, so his attainments are bound to be shallow. Wait until Laozi gives him a stepping stone, then he'll definitely replace Nan Jingqian's position. Dongfang is destined to surpass Nan Jingqian. Mo Xuanyi's family was a little cautious when they saw the arrival of strangers. Zhuo Chonglu introduced them enthusiastically. These are my two brothers. One is surnamed Dong, the other is surnamed Nan. My surname is Dong. Dongfang Xingyang said. My surname is Nan. Nan Jingqian said. Nice to meet you, in-laws. The two of them were not stingy people. They handed out gifts to everyone. Mo Xuanyi's family, Li Chenglong, and the rest received 2 sets each. Then Bai Yunduo came over with 2 pairs of chopsticks and slammed them on the table. He rolled his eyes and said, You too, do you want to drink? Of course. Thank you so much. The two wiped their sweat. They almost forgot that this was the wife of the heavenly king. Thus, they added 2 more wine glasses. 2 interspatial rings were placed in Bai Yunduo's hands. White Cloud withdrew without the slightest trace of smoke and fire. Master said 2 more pairs of chopsticks, but he didn't say anything about drinking. You two want to drink? Do you think that I, the wife of the king of Zhuolu, the #1 inspector of the continent and the #1 inspector of the army, am a maid? I gave you chopsticks and wine glasses. If you don't have these 2 rings today, I'll discipline your entire army tomorrow. As the inheritor of Wu Yuding's legacy, the way she received gifts was naturally the same. Everything was done smoothly and without a trace. Zhuo Xiaoduo saw this scene, he would definitely sigh. This was the true meaning of plucking the feathers of a swallow. My cultivation is still not up to par. When Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhuo Xiaonian brought 2 large chairs over for the 2 to sit down, the 2 of them finally heaved a sigh of relief. Finally they sat down. There were seats, chopsticks and wine glasses. It was enough. Why would they need a plate? They didn't need anything else. It was too expensive. Compared to the Mo family, Li Chenglong and the rest became more reserved with the arrival of the 2. The 2 of them came with their original faces. Nan Jingqian might be a little unfamiliar to them, but Dongfang Xingyang had been to the Hidden Dragon High School before. Furthermore, they had met each other during the Starlight Mountain Range trial. This was clearly Commander Dongfang. But Commander Dongfang was actually Zhuo's father's old subordinate? Brother? Then who was Zhuo's father? Chapter 1176. Thinking of this, the hearts of all the little fellows began to beat like drums. Ever since they realized that something was wrong, they could feel that something was wrong. Take this table for example. During this period of time they had eaten many times. With 10 or so people sitting at this table, it was extremely crowded. However, everyone liked to eat quickly, so they didn't feel that it was too uncomfortable. However, today there were 21 people at this table. Everyone was moving calmly and there was no sense of crowding at all. This was very abnormal. From what they could see, it was one thing to not feel crowded when everyone sat in a circle. However, there was no gap at all. Now there were 2 burly men sitting on the chairs. They were moving calmly and there was no sense of crowding at all. This was rather thought-provoking. Just now both the guests and the host were enjoying themselves. Now the atmosphere was even livelier. Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Jingyang were both experienced with alcohol. They knew how to liven up the atmosphere of the banquet. Compared to Zhuo Zhonglu, they were not inferior at all. Furthermore, they entertained the guests and made the atmosphere of the banquet more and more lively. Dongfang Jingyang and Nan Jingqian were drinking and chatting. Their hands were not idle either. They took out their phones and took a few selfies with their heads tilted towards Zhuo Zhonglu and his wife. This must be posted on their WeChat moments. Both of their pictures were the same. There were only 3 people in the pictures: himself, his brother, and his sister-in-law. His brother was elegant and steady. His sister-in-law was smiling kindly. His face was glowing. Then he quickly took a picture of the dishes on the table. He especially slapped the wine glass in his hand and the fragrant chive pancakes at the side. As he spoke to everyone at the table, he quickly added a caption. Dongfang Jingyang, the rarest thing in life is the reunion of brothers. Today I have gathered with big brother and sister-in-law. Life is like a dream and time flies by quickly. I can't help but sigh. A table of delicious dishes, smile, smile. I finally got to eat the chive pancake that sister-in-law made herself. I wish big brother and sister-in-law a long and healthy life. May our friendship last forever. All in one go. Then she put her phone away, her face full of joy and grace. She ate, chatted, and drank. Nan Jingqian, time flies. It's been 2 years since the last time I had a meal with big brother and sister-in-law. Today we're finally able to gather again. 2 years have passed in the blink of an eye. The chive pancakes that I ate last time still have a lingering fragrance in my mouth. This time sister-in-law gave me a stack of smug emoji, smug emoji. Look, there's too much, I can't finish it. But since sister-in-law made it, I'll eat smug emoji, smug emoji, even if I can't finish them. Emoji of a dog's head, emoji of a dog's head. Wishing big brother and sister-in-law eternal youth. Smile, smile, send. He pocketed his phone. Be dignified, eat, chat, and drink. The atmosphere was lively. Although Li Chenglong and the others were cautious, the current atmosphere was too warm and warm. Coupled with the humorous conversation of the elders, the nervousness in their hearts gradually disappeared. They were no longer nervous. Little did they know that Nan Jingqian and Dongfang Jingyang's hearts were also in turmoil. Especially when Zhuo Xiaoduo introduced his friends, the 2 marshals were even more shocked. These are my classmates. Uncles, this is Li Chenglong. Haha, his cultivation aptitude is relatively average. The only thing that can be said about him is that he's the best military advisor of the generation. His current cultivation state is mediocre. He's already 20 years old this year, but he's only at the peak of the Guixian realm. He can't suppress the agitation of his vital energy after suppressing it for 17 or 18 times. He's about to break through to the heavenly realm. This is Long Yuxing. His cultivation progress is about the same as Li Chenglong's. However, Li Chenglong is a little clever. He doesn't even have that little bit of intelligence. If it wasn't for the fact that he received the inheritance of the green dragon, he wouldn't be able to make it. This is. Zhuo Xiaoduo introduced them one by one. The words he used were full of praise and criticism and so on. But when the 2 marshals heard it, they only felt that today was an eye-opener. This big group. What's going on? Each and every one of them was showing off their abilities, showing off their brilliance without the slightest bit of concealment. What did they mean by peak of the Guixian realm at 20 years old? What did they mean by they can't suppress it after suppressing it for 17 or 18 times and are about to break through to the heavenly realm? The 2 of them looked at Zhuo Xiaoduo as they drank. You're really your father's son. The word talent is really well used. So many prodigies of this generation gathered at the same table. It was really too shocking. The two marshals' eyes lit up as they watched. They couldn't wait to take all of them into their pockets and take them under their command. These little fellows only needed to train under their hands for 2 years, and they would definitely become the seeds of future marshals and heavenly kings. It wasn't impossible for them to be even a level higher than that. At the very least, when they were at this age, they didn't have such achievements. In fact, they were far from it. Let's not talk about suppression. When they were at this age, they were only at the heavenly realm. They were even called the greatest prodigy. Not to mention the fact that they had a military advisor, a natural assassin, and the successor of the Green Dragon. A military advisor. What the hell? Nanjing Qian dug his fingernails into his palms. I'm not jealous. I don't want to poach them. Dongfang Xingyang couldn't help but ask, Boss, are these kids interested in joining the army? The East Army is in a state of decline. Sui Chonglu didn't say anything. Wu Yuding chuckled and asked, Are you full? You're even in the mood to chat? No. Dongfang Xingyang was shocked. He quickly raised his wine glass and said, Let me toast to you, sister-in-law. I'm a woman. I can't hold my liquor. I don't mean for you to drink. I'll toast 3 glasses to show my respect. The topic was brought to an end. Dongfang Xingyang's face darkened. Sister-in-law kept smiling. What was she trying to do? Nanjing Qian looked at him from the corner of his eyes. He couldn't help but gloat. What an idiot. These are all Xiao Duo's subordinates. You want to poach them? And you want to poach them right in front of them. I'm willing to give you the highest honor among the 4 great generals. Dongfang Xingyang took a sip of wine to calm himself down. He coughed lightly and took out his vibrating phone. His eyes widened and he smiled proudly. His life was complete. Nanjing Qian also took out his vibrating phone at the same time and opened his friend's circle. After taking a look, he smiled proudly. His life was at its peak. Below there was a whole circle of replies. I'm Shiman. Fuck. Where is this? Where are you? Send me your address. Please, I beg you. Beigong. I'm so jealous. Others. Bring me along. I beg you. You didn't invite me for dinner. The legendary chive pancake. I'm not sour at all. I'll eat it sooner or later. Is the chive pancake tasty? Bring me one. Is it good? I guess if I'm sour or not. Nanjing Qian, can you be any more cocky? Then they formed a formation below. Fucking Nanjing Qian. Fucking Dongfang Xingyang. Fucking Nanjing Qian. Rows and rows of replies lined up below. There was still more to come and there was an endless stream of replies. Dongfang Xingyang and Nanjing Qian were so happy that their eyes narrowed. Their friend's circle had never been so lively. Let these guys be envious. Just as they were feeling smug, the wind suddenly howled in the sky. A strong gust of wind came with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. The highlight of the show was here. Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang's expressions turned serious. They sat up straight. Zhuo Zhonglu and Wu Yuding's eyes flashed with gratification. Knock. Someone knocked on the door again. Bai Yun Duo turned to look at Wu Yuding. Let's not bother 2 people. Go and open the door, Wu Yuding said. Bai Yun Duo stood up and went to open the door. She opened the door. It's not you, Dongtian. He stood in front of the door angrily. He was stunned when he saw Bai Yun Duo. Why are you here? Bai Yun Duo was unhappy when she heard that. Why? Are you worried that I'll find out about your scandal? She said with a straight face. Nonsense. I've been with Xiao Nianji all this time. This is Xiao Nianji's house. If I'm not here, where am I? Where should I be? Yu Dongtian's face was serious. He put on the airs of a big brother and said, Oh, then you can go out for a walk. I have something to discuss with Uncle Zhua and Aunt Zhua. It's not convenient for you to be here. Bai Yun Duo was furious. It's not convenient for me to be here? This bastard. Is this something a human should do or say? She gritted her teeth and said, I shouldn't have pleaded for you. She really regretted it. If she had known that this bastard would say such nonsense, she wouldn't have pleaded for him. The other party's meaning was very clear. If she didn't know, he would have tricked her into leaving and never let her know what happened today. It was better to be known than seen. It was really. Yu Dongtian was stunned when he heard that. He was a smart person and instantly understood that Bai Yun Duo couldn't have just arrived. She knew everything that happened in front of her. He couldn't avoid her. He couldn't help but say, Sister-in-law, what you said about me is really embarrassing. Sigh, the family is unfortunate. I had no choice but to do this. Bai Yun Duo said coldly, what good or bad plan? You don't have to tell me about these things. Do you have the right to tell me? Yu Dongtian hurriedly said, Uncle Zhuo and Auntie Zhuo didn't say anything, right? However, Bai Yun Duo had already turned around and left. Originally, she thought that this guy was her husband's best friend, so she made up her mind to give him a few reminders out of goodwill. But now, Kiki, I want to see how badly Yu Dongtian will die today. I'll take it as a joke. The moment he entered, Heavenly King Yu saw Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang, both of whom were sitting upright and looking dignified. He was so angry that his nose was crooked. There was no need to say anything. These two bastards must have rushed here to watch the show. Nanjing Qian and Dongfang Xingyang had already stood up. Dongfang Xingyang smiled from ear to ear. Heavenly King Yu, nice to meet you. What a coincidence. Nanjing Qian was stunned. It's really such a coincidence to meet Heavenly King Yu. Even I'm shocked. Really. Chapter 1177. It's a pleasure to meet you two bastards. Yu Dongtian said disdainfully, it's a pleasure to meet you. Wu Yuding snorted and said, Aya, Heavenly King Yu, why do you look so pale? Did someone make you angry? Auntie. Yu Dongtian's spirit was instantly rejuvenated. He said sweetly, Auntie, I've missed you so much these few days. I finally met you. I've told you before that I'm indebted to Auntie. You treat me better than my own mother. I must be filial to Auntie in the future. And my Uncle Zhuo. Uncle Zhuo, Auntie Zhuo, from the start to the end, it's all my family's fault. I've already severely punished that bunch of useless people. Those rascals, after enjoying a few days of peace, they thought too highly of themselves. They don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Father and I have been risking our lives outside, but we actually allowed such vermin to appear in our family. What's more, they were born in groups. It's really a huge sin. This time it's all thanks to Uncle Zhuo and Auntie Zhuo. They helped us discover the hidden danger and cleaned up our family. It's really a huge debt of gratitude. If not for Uncle Zhuo and Auntie Zhuo, would our Yu family still be around? We would only become a decadent family that deceives the world. Just thinking about what those rascals did really infuriates me. Look at the Wang family now. So shocking and heartbreaking. If these people from the Yu family continue to do whatever they want, they will become the second Wang family. It's really too scary. So heartbreaking. I just found out about this too. I immediately rushed back to give them a scolding. I even came up with new family rules. The first is. The second is. The third is. I've already severely punished everyone involved. They are. I'm not only here to represent myself, but also my father, to thank Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo. Originally, my father wanted to come personally, but both of you know that my father is thin-skinned. Before I came, he kindly reminded me that Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo have done our family a great favor this time. If it weren't for the friendship of a lifetime, who would come and meddle in other people's affairs? Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo are righteous and don't treat us as outsiders. That's why they're willing to help us and set things right. Uncle Zhuo, Aunt Zhuo, thank you so much. Yu Dongtian's mouth was like a heavy machine gun that suddenly released the safety and pulled the trigger. Hundreds of shuttles were fired in a row. This time it was really an emergency. I came in a hurry. I didn't make any preparations. Yu Dongtian took out a space ring and stuffed it into Wu Yuding's hand. It's nothing valuable. It's just some beauty products. Auntie, you won't be able to use them, so please don't dislike them. Also, I got some wine for Uncle Zhuo. They've been preserved for thousands of years. The quality is not bad. General Dongfang wanted to mutter, damn, that wine belongs to my family. It has been stored in the cellar for more than thousands of years. However, seeing Yu Dongtian's current appearance, he didn't dare to say it. He definitely didn't sympathize with him. This guy's mouth was wider than anyone else's. There was nothing worth sympathizing with. He was mainly afraid that this guy would settle accounts with him later. It was worth the ticket price to see this big show. In addition, I've also prepared some for Xiao Duo and little Nian Nian. As Yu Dongtian spoke, he looked at Zhuo Chonglu's expression. Seeing that Zhuo Chonglu's expression didn't change, the heavenly king of the right's face became paler and paler. The speed of his speech, which was originally like a machine gun, gradually slowed down. Towards the end he was almost stuttering. Yu Dongtian knew this Wu couple very well. Zhuo Zhonglu was the one who had to make the final decision for all the major events in the Zhuo family. Wu Yuding was the one who had the final say in the Zhuo family. Although there had been no major events in the Zhuo family for a long time, Zhuo Zhonglu was the one who had the final say in the family. Just like at this moment, Yu Dongtian knew that even if he persuaded Wu Yuding, he still couldn't persuade Zhuo Chonglu. It was still futile. Zhuo Chonglu said lightly, "I asked you to come here to give me a gift? Do you think that your Aunt Zhuo and I are really greedy for your things?" No. I definitely didn't mean that. I've always been filial to Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo. I can't wait to be with them. Yu Dongtian looked at Bai Yunduo pleadingly. "Sister-in-law, please help me." Bai Yunduo was still angry. She snorted and turned her head away. She didn't even bother to pretend that she didn't see it. You offended a woman and you still want her to help you? Is there such a good thing in the world? The Yu family is really powerful now. Not only is it the first family in Shangjing, but it's also the first family in Astral Souls. It's one of the top families in the 3 continents. But look at what the Yu family has become. Originally, I just wanted to see how this matter would be resolved. A small punishment would be enough as a warning. However, after my divine sense circled around your Yu clan, I discovered that such a large clan like yours is now as rotten as the Wang clan. When you see an ordinary family, you trample over it directly. When you see a family that's stronger than you urge your children to have sex with them. Is this the style of the Yu family? What's more, in the last 1,000 years when the upper class of Shangjing was distributing benefits, the Yu family alone took up 20% of the share. You're in a high position and have more power than me. You should know better than me what a family that takes up 20% of the benefits and resources in Shangjing represents and what it means. Yu Dongtian and your father may have the right to take the 20%. But ask yourself, can you do it? Do you feel that you are taking more than you deserve? And now, the situation is that the descendants of your family have already taken up 20% of the share. What right do they have? Just because their ancestor is an emperor? Is he the king of the right? How ridiculous! How ridiculous! How ridiculous! What kind of madness is this? The Yu family is the Yu family. What is a king of the family? According to what you said, if Xiao Duo and Xiao Nian get married in the future, are they going to establish a king's family? At that time, will the Yu family work together to ensure that the glory of the so-called number 1 family doesn't fall? Will the Yu family fight against Xiao Duo and Xiao Nian? Or even kill them to prevent future troubles? Please don't tell me that I'm overthinking, that I'm worrying too much, that I'm being whimsical. Cold sweat dripped down Yu Dongtian's face. These words were really hurtful. No matter how he answered, it was wrong. But one thing was for sure, and that was, Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo would never let Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhuo Xiaonian establish a family. Since they had children, they had been hiding it, afraid that others would find out. How could they establish a family? Uncle Zhuo. Yu Dongtian looked at Zhuo Chonglu pleadingly, but he was met with Zhuo Chonglu's cold eyes. Dongfang Xingyang coughed and bowed. Boss. The king of the right. Knows his mistake and his attitude is already. Boss, do you think? Nan Jingqian also bowed and said, Boss, after this punishment, as long as the descendants don't overturn the king's decision, there won't be any problems for at least 3,000 years. Plus, after 10,000 years the descendants will be unfilial. This is something that no family can avoid. Even gods. I'm afraid. After all, people's hearts. Zhuo Chonglu sighed softly. You know what I'm thinking. Normally, I wouldn't say it so seriously and I wouldn't want to say it so seriously. But Wang Feihong was my brother back then. Oh Wang family, we can only watch helplessly as we reach this step. How can we not learn from the mistakes of our predecessors? What can we do? What a shocking sight. Now the Yu family is also showing signs of this. Even the families that you two come from might not have the same signs as well. We fought bloody battles to conquer the world. If we finally found out that the astral soul's land that we risked our lives to protect for so many years was destroyed by our own descendants. Even if we did ascend the altar, how could we accept the worship of the people for so many years? We have been fighting for our entire lives. Our original intention is to see the beauty of this world. We can kill anyone who destroys society, but I do not wish that when you raise your butcher's knife one day, it will be our own descendants who are under the knife. This kind of heart-wrenching pain, this kind of ridiculous disappointment, you can't bear it. Even if you've never seen the descendant being killed, he's still your descendant. You will always remember that his surname is Yu. Yu Dongtian's surname is Yu. Yu Xingqian's surname is Yu. Zhuo Chonglu's voice wasn't very strict, but Yu Dongtian, Dongfang Xingyang, Nanjing Qian, and Bai Yun Duo all stood up straight and listened seriously. These were undoubtedly words that came from the bottom of his heart, and were definitely not spoken with emotion. Mu Tsongjun, Mo Shuani, Zhuo Xiaoduo, Li Chenglong, and the others who were at the same table couldn't see or hear anything. Speaking of Wang Feihong, Zhuo Zhonglu felt a little upset. Back then, Heavenly King Gu Hong had single-handedly slaughtered the Second Sorcerer Alliance, and the smile he had given Zhuo Zhonglu before the battle to Yu Dongtian and the others were from that time as well. Even though they were just small shrimps back then, how could they not remember Heavenly King Gu Hong's heroic deeds? Looking at the Wang family now. Looking at their own family, they all broke out in cold sweat. After a long time, Zhuo Xiaoduo finally saw Yu Dongtian sitting down with a warm expression. He raised his wine glass and toasted Mu Tsongjun and his wife. With a smile he said, "I'm little hero Yu's guardian. Yes, there are many people in the Yu family, so the seniority is a little messy. I look young, but my seniority is slightly higher." Cough cough. Zhuo Chonglu rolled his eyes at the sky. Wu Yuding looked at him from the corner of her eyes. "Seniority? You're really senior. Who knows how many generations of your descendants are going to marry my goddaughter? Do we have to call you our ancestor?" But Yu Dongtian couldn't do anything about it. He really couldn't do anything about it. "Let's talk about our own matters, let's talk about our own matters." Yu Dongtian's neck was getting thick as he struggled to speak. Ha ha ha. Nanjing Qian burst out laughing. Chapter 1178. Of course, everyone was happy at the end of the meal. Yu Dongtian's arrival was already the greatest sincerity in redeeming the family. He had dealt with the entire Yu clan's upper echelons. This was a big change of blood for Mo Shuani's family, and also beneficial for the Yu clan itself. It was just a temporary turmoil, but it would be repaid in the future. Yu Dongtian was well aware of this, so he did not hold any grudges against him. Instead, he had to thank the Zhuo couple for stepping in. But the marriage between Mo Shuani and Yu Shaoxia was still not decided on the spot. Yu Dongtian came to express his apology and gratitude. With his status, it was impossible for him to get involved in the marriage. Of course, the most important thing was that he didn't dare to do so, and he wasn't qualified enough. Mo Shuani had become Zhuo Chonglu's adopted daughter, and in terms of seniority, she was of the same generation as Yu Dongtian. How could he be qualified to preside over the marriage? Although he knew that Zhuo Chonglu would not follow through with this marriage, and at most when Mo Shuani got married he would give a gift and a dowry. But his willingness to step in this time had already explained a lot of things, and even more so, it had an inexplicable meaning. This matter, which seemed like a small matter of two children's marriage almost being ruined, actually had a lot of hidden meaning. The sky inspecting minister reappeared in the mortal world and came to Shangjing. He interrogated a series of big families in Shangjing one after another. Previously it was the Wang family, and now it was the Yu family's turn. Almost all the big families with top-notch star souls did not make any mistakes. Next it was the Bai family, where the Lady of the Clouds came from, and the families of the four great commanders of the East, West, North and South also started to reorganize. Zhuo Zhonglu's real goal was to take action in all aspects of the continent. Yu Dongtian understood. This matter was of great significance to the Yu clan, and it would benefit them in the long run. But in the end, the Yu clan was just a chess piece in the minister's hands. Killing the chicken to warn the monkey, knocking the mountain to warn the tiger, nothing more than that. Even the heavenly king of the Wrights family had been dealt with, and almost all the higher-ups were uprooted and sent to the front lines. How awesome did you have to be able to withstand this and still dare to commit crimes? The banquet ended. Zhuo Chonglu and Wu Yuding found a guest room to rest, while Zhuo Xiaonian went to take care of her parents. After all, Zhuo Chonglu and his wife had prepared a huge amount of good things for their daughter, who had just ascended to the Skysoar realm. These were things that couldn't be revealed in front of others. It was enough for him to know the benefits of being the second generation of top-notch cultivators. There was no need to show off in front of others and cause unnecessary trouble for no reason. Nanjingqian and Dongfangjinyang took their leave. Even the Heavenly King of the Right and Baiyun Fairies' families had to reorganize themselves. Naturally, they did not dare to delay and hurried back to reorganize their families. Yu Dongtian also left, but before he left he gave Mu Tsongjun and his wife a house. Yep, to be more precise, it was a large courtyard. The Yu family was fully responsible for the hygiene and security of the courtyard. Ever since Yu Dongtian knew that Emoshwani was an elite disciple who had betrayed the greedy wolf sect, he had made this decision long ago. Because in the sky above Shangjing, the power of the southern 6 stars, northern 95 stars was faintly converging. Although Yu Dongtian had not reached the level of Zhuchanglu and his wife who could sense the heaven and earth, he could still sense it. The Stargate sect was ruthless to their enemies, but they were even more ruthless to their traitorous disciples. If they knew that Emoshwani was in Shangjing, they would definitely kill Emoshwani together with him. Yu Dongtian felt that he would definitely cry out it was better to be safe than sorry. With Yu Dongtian's eloquence and ability to sway people, as well as his ability to subtly influence people's minds, Emoshwani's family had become the big landlords of Shangjing in a daze. Yep, how could the courtyard given by the Heavenly King of the Right be small? Emoshwani's family was, of course, the big landlords of Shangjing in reality. Zhuo Duo was surrounded by Li Chenglong and the others and forcefully escorted into the Void Extermination Tower. Zhuo, what is your uncle's identity? Tell us about it. Everyone's eyes were sparkling with curiosity, and it was rare that there was no coercion. Zhuo Duo showed off. I've already told you that I'm a super second generation, a top second generation cultivator, but you didn't believe me. Now you believe me, right? Everyone nodded in unison. It was really impossible not to believe him. Although at some point during the meal, everyone seemed to be in a state where they suddenly seemed to be cut off from the current atmosphere, or it could be said that their time inexplicably paused or there was a gap in their memories. In short, there were many abnormal signs. But no matter what, Great General Dongfeng was not a fake. What is his identity? Everyone's eyes were full of curiosity. Guess. Zhuo Duo crossed his legs, shook his head proudly and wagged his tail. Everyone was speechless. Originally, they still had some respect and distance for this guy's identity as a second-generation cultivator, but now that they saw this guy's arrogant and despicable demeanor, the previous feeling completely disappeared. I can't guess, I don't dare to guess. Then you can continue to be depressed. Zhuo Duo was full of himself, and in the space of the Tower of Annihilation he looked up to the sky and howled, Everyone pressed for a long time, but Zhuo Duo was determined not to say anything, and his attitude became more and more despicable, but in fact he had no choice. His father had solemnly said that he wanted to take a good look at these little guys in the next few days. Without his father's permission he could not directly or indirectly reveal anything. If everyone guessed, then it was not something he could say. At this moment, looking at everyone's gloomy faces, Zhuo Duo was so happy that his tail was about to stand up. The night was silent. Li Chenglong and the others stayed in the Tower of Annihilation to carry out their last suppression. Zhuo Duo was about to break through, so naturally he could not continue to stay in the tower and had to go out. Unfortunately, Zhuchanglu and his wife had brought Zhuo Xiaoyan with them at this time, and they did not know what to say in the room. Zhuo Duo knocked for a long time, but the door did not open. Feeling that he was ignored, he could not help but feel unhappy. Suddenly, he saw the whole table full of dishes and cups that had not been cleaned up. Zhuo Duo waved his hand, and spiritual energy suddenly surged. In an instant, the whole room was cleaned up. However, Zhuo Duo's way of cleaning the room was different. Instead of cleaning the bowls, chopsticks, cups and plates and tidying them up neatly, he wrapped everything with his vital energy and directly put them away. With a whoosh, he threw them out, and with a bang they landed in a garbage station a few kilometers away. Rich. Awful. Then he wiped the table, put all the chairs back in place and announced that he was done. If I use this skill to do housework, with this level of dexterity, how much money can I make? It had to be said that Zhuo Duo's mind was full of wonderful ideas. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, it was a different kind of contribution that ordinary people could not achieve. After waiting for a long time, the Zhuo couple and Zhuo Xiaoyan still had not finished chatting. Zhuo Duo, who was extremely bored, carefully mobilized the last few strands of vital energy in his dantian. Bit by bit he turned them into the power of the flaming sun manual, and then purified them further, turning them into the power of the primordial fire. However, this was all he could do now. If he wanted to further transform the primordial fire into the pure Zhurong primordial fire, with his current level of cultivation, it was still beyond his ability. If he forced the fusions, Xiao Duo would probably turn into a huge fireball in an instant, and then turn into a sky full of fireflies and disappear into the dust. Strands of vital energy were transformed. Xiao Duo sat cross-legged in the living room, carefully and cautiously, and did not dare to slack off. Finally, the last strand of vital energy was gone. It was completely refined and there was not a single strand of energy left. At this moment, a little understanding inexplicably grew from the bottom of his heart and continuously surged. Force. Force could be borrowed, but it could not be relied on. Only one's own force could truly belong to oneself. How to move one's mind, how to merge the 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls into one, and then release that unique, charming, and exclusive force. Xiao Duo was carefully trying to figure out the mystery. However, at the moment when the last strand of vital energy was refined, the world suddenly changed. The change was carried out silently, but the entire sky above Shangjing was instantly filled with wind and clouds. Countless black clouds of smoke came from all directions at lightning speed, converging in this direction at an extremely fast speed. The silent lightning bolts were like dense spider webs, quietly weaving into a huge net that encompassed 3 continents in the sky. After a while, a black cloud in the middle of the giant net slowly rotated, and the pitch-black color immediately dyed the entire blue sky a piano black. As if they had sensed something, the other 2 huge black clouds that also covered the sky slowly began to rotate. Almost at the same time, another red cloud with an extremely strange hue quietly rushed from afar. In the blink of an eye, it had already reached the middle of the sky. Then the 3 black clouds and the red cloud entangled together, and the strange red cloud that came later was even more overbearing and powerful. It forcibly squeezed into the middle of the 3 black clouds, and the original 3 clouds turned into 4 clouds. In the entire sky, it was as if 4 huge eyes had appeared, and they were all slowly rotating. 3 black and 1 red. This state only lasted for a moment, and another purple cloud appeared on the horizon, and with the same overbearing momentum rushed into the clouds. Another gray cloud also rose in another direction, and another green cloud suddenly soared into the sky, joining the clouds forcefully. At this point, 7 clouds had arrived in the sky one after another, and rotated together in the sky. The scene was unprecedentedly magnificent but also extremely strange. In the room, Zhua Chonglu and Wu Yuding, who had sensed the change, stood side by side and looked at the sudden strange phenomenon in the sky. Their faces were as gloomy as water, and the heavy worry in their eyes almost condensed into a substance. Xiao Duo had not given the news of a breakthrough, but the heavenly tribulations had already sensed it and had begun to gather and move. Moreover, as soon as he made a move, the commotion was so shocking and grand. How can there be heavenly tribulations of the 7 clans? Wu Yuding could not understand and was even a little angry. Isn't this targeting my son? Isn't this bullying? Are you using this kind of heavenly tribulations to split the sky? Chapter 1179. Don't be impatient. Chonglu's eyes were deep as he patted his wife's shoulder. If it's just the heavenly tribulation of the 7 clans, it might be better. At least it's better than the worst outcome I expected. But the worst outcome you expected is worse than this? Xiao Duo has a lot of karma and most of it is his own doing. He's asking for trouble and it has nothing to do with anyone. Chonglu said with a toothache. But what did he do? How did he get involved with so much karma? What did he do? Think about it carefully. He was born in the astral souls in the Dao League and he's a peerless genius. The heavenly tribulation of the 2 clans can't be avoided. After that he took Flood as his adoptive father. Flood is now the top master of the Wu people. Naturally he's involved with the Umno Alliance's heavenly Dao. This time he went to the Wu people and received the inheritance of Zhu Wu Zhu Rong. He's inseparable from the Wu people's heavenly Dao. After that, He told us about his relationship with the spirit clan and the demon clan. I'm afraid there's a lot of karma that we and even he don't know about. In this case, it's the heavenly tribulation of the 5 clans. Even if there's karma between the spirit clan and the demon clan, the current situation is that the heavenly Tao of the demon clan is involved. What do you think? I don't understand this either. But our son has always had a lot of adventures. Maybe he offended the demon clan for some reason. Even so, it's only the 6 clans. Where did the karma that belongs to the Western sect come from? You said that he got involved with the demon clan for some reason, and I agree. But there hasn't been any information about the Western sect for millions of years. It's not even recorded in the ancient legends. How did they get involved? Wu Yuding's question was also Zhuo Chonglu's question. Both of them felt this was too strange. What did their son have to do with the Western sect? Why did the 7 great heavenly Tao gather for no reason? How was he going to let others have a good time? By the way, you said that there are worse possibilities. What could be worse than this? Wu Yuding asked nervously. Zhuo Chonglu smiled bitterly. You missed a lot of information about our son, or rather you didn't care, did you? He was famous in Phoenix City. How could Master's name be false? I don't know where this method of his came from, but the root of his guidance is to deduce the mysteries of heaven. Stealing the heart of heaven as my heart and seeing the future, wouldn't that be forming karma with the heavenly Tao? What's more, he almost reversed the situation and helped Nienna resist the huge karma of the Phoenix Pulse Soul. If the most serious situation occurred, the backlash of these 2 karmas would be the most terrifying. Wu Yuding's expression changed again and again. She said in a trembling voice, fortunately, there is only the heavenly tribulation of the 7 races right now. Without the 2 karmas that you set up in advance, there is still a chance. But there's more. There's more. Zhuo Chonglu and Wu Yuding's expressions changed. Their eyes focused and their bodies stiffened. In the eastern sky, a cloud suddenly rushed up, and the cloud formed a golden dragon that suddenly rushed out. In an instant it circled thousands of miles and covered the sky. At the same time, in the western sky, a 5-colored phoenix spread its wings and flew up. In a moment, the dragon and phoenix turned into a huge whirlpool in the sky above Shangjing. Damn, even the heavenly Tao of the ancient god race is here to join in the fun. Zhuo Chonglu's usually calm eyes showed panic for the first time. He even seemed to be gnashing his teeth. Wu Yuding clasped her hands together and scolded, "This little bastard is really a troublemaker. How can such a heavenly tribulation be perfect? Looking at the situation now, I'm afraid it's already difficult to survive." Wu Yuding's voice hadn't finished resounding through the air when another tribulation cloud that seemed like a ghastly mist charged swiftly into the sky and converged with the numerous tribulation clouds in the sky. Wu Yuding's expression changed drastically. Zhuo Chonglu's body also stiffened instantly. They're all here. It's the 9 great heavenly Tao and the 10 complete lightning tribulations. Zhuo Chonglu's face turned pale. My son has created history. But I'm very curious. Where did he get the ability to attract so much karma? A figure flashed and Lei Changtian descended from the sky. My goodness. What did you 2 give birth to? So many karmic heavenly tribulations. It's going to be smashed into pieces. Looking at the momentum, let alone passing through it perfectly, I'm afraid even the chance of reincarnation will be. Shut up. Wu Yuding fiercely turned her head and looked at her father, roaring fiercely. The demon ancestor's head drooped and he could no longer open his mouth. Just as Wu Yuding, Zhuo Chonglu and Lei Changtian were extremely surprised at Zhuo Xiaoduo's void-destroying pagoda, the Wahuang sword appeared in the air with a clang. Sword light shot out in all directions and demon aura rose. With a whoosh, it rushed out of the space and entered Zhuo Xiaoduo's divine soul. The god-slaying spear Yan Shirsi followed closely behind. Demonic flames soared and turned into a black fog, flashing away. Bianju jumped a few times and also jumped out. Xiao Zhao's 3 legs jumped up and down and with a whoosh, it turned into a flame. The dragon of luck Xiaolong, who rarely appeared in front of people, also came out from the mountains. He flew up silently and hurriedly. The super heavenly tribulation that made the Zhuo couple worried and terrified was about to happen. However, the person involved, Zhuo Xiaoduo, didn't know that a calamity was about to befall him. He didn't even know that his godson and whatnot were moving out together. He only felt various kinds of enlightenment in his mind. Immediately he entered a state of enlightenment where he forgot about everything around him. Fortunately, the whole process only lasted for a short minute. However, there were too many kinds of enlightenment and they all rushed into his mind at the same time. His head swelled uncomfortably as if it was about to explode. Unable to bear the burden, he immediately woke up. When his mind regained its clarity, Duo was shocked to discover that the true essence in his body had already shown signs of going berserk. At this stage, even if he had the help of a transcendent cultivator to suppress it, or even some miraculous spirit medicine, it would be of no use. He had to face this breakthrough, the breakthrough to the Skysoar realm. A power that could topple mountains and overturn seas rushed towards the flying heavens pass like a hot knife through butter. Originally, he had already touched the door and could break through the barrier with just a light touch. However, at this moment, it was like an impenetrable and unbreakable wall. Duo thought that he would succeed naturally, but something unexpected happened. He was surprised to see that on the other side of the Skysoar realm, there was a mixture of different colors. What's going on? Before Duo could figure out what was going on, the pressure in the sky came down on him. The true origin in his body suddenly burst out. Duo only felt that his insides were burning. He couldn't control himself and shouted, "Dad, I'm going to break through." Before his voice died away, Changlu, who had been paying attention to his son's every move, suddenly appeared beside him. He grabbed his son's neck and disappeared with a whoosh. Then Lei Changtian followed closely. Bai Yun Duo flew under the clouds, and Wu Yuding took Xiaonian and broke through the sky. Changlu was so fast that the father and son were already at the top of the Broken Soul Cliff in the blink of an eye. Changlu suddenly let go of Duo, and Duo fell on the cliff. "Put on the protective gear your mother gave you and prepare all the medicine you need. Swallow a few pills with the tip of your tongue first. There's something fishy about this flying tribulation. You have to deal with it with all your might. Don't be careless." Changlu said in a deep voice. "Yes. Don't forget the key points I told you. Deal with it carefully." Wu Yuding's voice also came. Like the evening drum and morning bell, she reminded Duo of all the things she reminded him. Once again, she imprinted them into Duo's spirit sea with the method of divine sense empowerment. "I remember, Mom. Don't worry." Duo shouted with difficulty. Immediately, he calmed down and dealt with the surging true origin. He tried to restrain it and guide it into the right direction. In a moment, the 10 huge whirlpools in the sky came to the top of his head again. From the slow rotation to the fast rotation, the intense rotation. Then it was almost impossible to see clearly. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, the huge spiritual energy in all directions was sucked dry by the 10 tribulation eyes in the sky in an instant. There was not a drop left. The indifferent heavens might came down mightily. The great Tao was ruthless and karma was reincarnation. This guy dared to defy the heavens. He must be scorched on the outside and tender on the inside. Changlu and Wu Yuding stood 100 miles away, one in the east and one in the west. Even though the couple had high cultivation at this moment, they did not dare to make the slightest move. Half of their attention was focused on their son, and the other half was focused on the periphery to eliminate the possibility of external interference from outside the heaven realm. Xiaonian and Wu Yuding were on the side. One of their hands was tightly clasped on Wu Yuding's arm, and they looked extremely nervous. Lei Changtian and Bai Yun Duo were in the north and south respectively. They were also on high alert. This lineup of guardians was a little scary. With the 4 of them protecting him, even if the 12 great shamans and the 7 swords of the Tao League attacked together, Duo would be safe and sound for a while. However, the 4 of them were all experts in cultivation. How could they not know that the key point of their defense was not the destruction of any enemies in the world, but the evil hidden behind every tribulation thunder during the tribulation? A perfect breakthrough was easier said than done. Since ancient times, even the heavens were not perfect. If Duo wanted to break through the boundary between man and heaven with a perfect posture, he would definitely attract the greatest evil in the world. Yes, at this moment, even the heavenly Tao was jealous of Duo. The jealousy of the whole world. There was not a single cultivator who was not jealous. The wrath of the heavenly Tao was a natural disaster that could be vented through the tribulation thunder. After the natural disaster, there were also man-made disasters. After the tribulation thunder, The aftershocks would attract the resentment of countless cultivators. They would surround Zhuo Duo from all sides and surge in like a gust of wind. As long as they rushed in and landed on Zhuo Duo, they would form an inner demon. Once the inner demon was formed, it would not be a perfect breakthrough. And Zhuo Chonglu and the others had to cut off all the inner demons from invading. Begging for monthly votes at midnight. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.